Chapter 35-40. Although Team Leader Tu and Xiao Lu were disgusted by the local authorities because of this incident, they had no choice but to stay and solve the problem because of work. To be honest, they really wanted to leave like Su Yun. At least they wouldn't have to worry about Zhang Hui. After all, the kind of leader would bring up the kind of soldiers. Zhang Hui's subordinates were all lazy and had a hard time cooperating with him. Fortunately, Su Yun didn't have to endure this anymore. Otherwise, with his temper, he would definitely make life difficult for them. After Su Yun returned to the hotel, Cho Yun was a little surprised. She didn't expect Su Yun to return so quickly. "It's settled?" "Of course." Su Yun nodded. "Rest well tonight. We'll leave tomorrow morning." "All right, you must be hungry. Let's find a place to eat." "Look at the time." Cho Yun shook her head. Even the food stalls wouldn't be open so late in this weather. There must be places that are open 24 hours a day. After saying that, Su Yun was startled. He had forgotten to consider a problem. Cho Yen must have not slept for a long time already. "Never mind, you'd better go and rest. You must be tired." Cho Yun nodded and didn't say anything else. She was relieved after Su Yun returned. After confirming that Su Yun was fine, Cho Yun was also relieved. She could finally go back to her room to rest. The soldier could see that Su Yun wasn't sleepy and suggested, "Brother Yun, I'll go buy some beer and make some duck feet. Let's drink?" "Sure." Su Yun nodded. "Can I buy it at this hour?" "Of course." "The supermarket at the corner of the intersection is also open at night," the soldier said and set off. Blackhead squatted beside Su Yun. Su Yun couldn't help but laugh. "You're quite disciplined." "Not bad, I like discipline. However, you don't have to stretch like that when you're with me. If you're tired, you can lie down for a while. We're not that strict." Although Su Yun said that, Blackhead still sat very seriously. To him, this was already a habit. Just like the people from the army, they were all tall and straight regardless of whether they were sitting or standing. This was a habit that was ingrained in their bones. Even Su Yun was the same. He had never sat like Guyu. In fact, this habit should be maintained. Su Yun was just casually talking to Blackhead. The soldier brought back some beer and vacuum-packed spicy duck neck. Of course, he didn't forget to bring back food for Blackhead. He brought vacuum-packed beef and pig feet. He didn't know what Blackhead liked to eat, but he bought the expensive ones. Su Yun opened the bag and put it in front of Blackhead. "I don't know what your standard of food is in the anti-drug brigade. You don't have to be so particular when you're with me. You can eat whatever we eat. These aren't spicy, so don't worry." Blackhead listened to Su Yun and finished the big piece of beef in 2 or 3 bites. The two drank a few cans of beer and chatted. When they were sleepy, they washed up and fell asleep. The next morning at 8:30, Su Yun and the soldier opened their eyes. At this time, Cho Yun had already bought breakfast. The three of them drank some porridge and ate some steamed dumplings and buns. After that, they immediately rushed back to Shenzhen. Because they weren't in a hurry, the three of them didn't feel tired as they took turns to drive. They chatted and laughed along the way, stopping from time to time. When they were tired, they would get off the highway to find a place to eat. The journey that was supposed to take more than 10 hours actually took them 26 to 27 hours. When they reached Shenzhen, it was already noon the next day. Su Yun didn't contact Yi Fala in advance, nor did he let the soldier call Chong. He drove directly to Xing Kai Hotel. The sudden appearance of the three of them really caught Yi Fala off guard. After hearing the news, Chong also rushed over immediately. He was more excited than anyone else. Yi Fala gave him a look, and Chong immediately understood. "Let's go. Tell us what happened." Chong pulled the soldier up. He knew that Yi Fala wanted to spend some time alone with Su Yun. However, Cho Yun was also there. Chong couldn't just directly drag Cho Yun away. "I see that the hotel has changed a little. Bring me to take a look." Cho Yun suddenly stood up and said to Chong. Chong froze for a moment, then immediately nodded. "Okay. Of course, no problem." Yi-Fala looked at Cho-Yun gratefully. She didn't think that Cho-Yun would be willing to give her some time alone with Su-Yun. For her, this was indeed an extravagant hope. However, Yi-Fala really had a lot of things to ask Su-Yun. Of course, there was one thing that she had been holding back for a long time. In the past half a year, Yi-Fala had dreamt of Bu Fifan many times. This made her feel uneasy. There was always a saying about dreams. No matter if it was a good dream or a bad dream, it would always make Yi-Fala feel uneasy. I've been dreaming of Fifan many times recently. Yi-Fala said faintly after everyone left. I don't know how that child is doing recently. Don't worry, he's not a child anymore. Su-Yun smiled. A child in a hunter school will definitely grow faster than a child outside. But I always dream that something happened to him. I dream that he's in danger. Yi-Fala's face was slightly worried. He won't be in any danger, right? I don't think so. Su-Yun shook his head. That place will guarantee his safety. Actually, when Su-Yun said this, he wasn't confident. After all, staying in a hunter school was a very dangerous thing. No one could guarantee anyone's safety. If Bu Fifan didn't have his own abilities, that kind of place would definitely be dangerous. Actually, I don't know if I'm worrying too much. Yi-Fala shook his head. But that child has been different from others since he was young. That's why I'm worried about him. Because I dreamt that he was in danger many times, I even specially hired a dream interpreter. Su-Yun was stunned. Dream interpreter? There were people like that in this day and age. This was a scientific society, a civilized world. How could there be such superstitions? Then where did you hire the dream interpreter? Su-Yun laughed bitterly. It said that he's the successor of the Duke of Zhou, Yi-Fala said. The dream interpreter is very powerful. He's very famous in Shenzhen. Many people with status trust him. He's also helped many people solve their problems. Su-Yun was stunned. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then what did he say? He said that my dream could be considered auspicious, that there was no doubt that my hard work was an auspicious omen. I was diligent and motivated, determined as iron, stubborn and unyielding, and possessed profound strength and talent. By creating a splendid and glorious future, I won success and fame, and obtained a great expansion. The only regret was that I didn't get along well with others, Yefra said. Hearing this, Su-Yun felt dizzy. You can even remember this? What are you talking about? Actually, I don't really understand, Yi-Fala said with a headache. But that's what the master said. Later, I asked the master's disciple. His disciple said that I'm a businessman, so this dream means that the business will be smooth and profitable, but the progress will be slow. But what I want to know is whether this has any effect on Fifan. Alright, he also told me that this dream means that my wealth is in the southwest, the peach blossom is in the north, and the auspicious color is yellow. Perhaps this was why Yi-Fala felt that this dream interpreter was reliable. Guqin Island was almost in the north of Shenzhen. The only person in the world who could make her heart flutter was probably Su-Yun on Guqin Island. Su-Yun shook his head helplessly. You don't really believe these words, do you? I don't know if I should believe it. Yi-Fala smiled bitterly. But I keep having similar dreams. It's really hard to calm down. Actually, you're just thinking about him and worrying about him. Don't believe in those messy dream interpreters. Su-Yun said. What era are we in now? You still believe in those messy things? Yi-Fala was stunned. But that's the successor of the Duke of Zhou. He's a master recognized by everyone. Do you know what's the most unreliable thing these days? Su-Yun asked. Yi-Fala shook her head. It's the judges, the experts, the professors. Su-Yun smiled mysteriously and continued. But these are definitely not as unreliable as the master. Those who wear the title of master are the true peak of unreliability. Chapter 35-41. Yi-Fala was a bit embarrassed. So you don't want me to believe it? Of course, don't believe it. Su-Yun, What do you mean by the successor of the Duke of Zhou? This is the first time I've heard someone call himself a successor of the Duke of Zhou. Isn't this bullsh*t? Do you know who the Duke of Zhou is? Yi Fala showed an embarrassed expression again. To be honest, she didn't know much about history, and she didn't read any books about it. The only thing she knew was that the Duke of Zhou was a dream interpreter. Who is the Duke of Zhou? Su Yun shook his head speechlessly. You don't even know who the Duke of Zhou is, but you believe him when he says he's the successor of the Duke of Zhou? Everyone believed it, so I. When Yi Fala heard this, he felt that he was a little too foolish. But if he was foolish, did that mean that everyone else was foolish? Let me tell you, the Duke of Zhou is Zhou Gongdan, the fourth son of King Wen of Zhou, Ji Chong, and the younger brother of King Wu of Zhou, GFA. He assisted King Wu of Zhou in attacking King Zhou twice. Su Yun, have you heard of the investiture of the gods? It sounds very powerful. Yi Fala nodded. He's indeed a very powerful person. There's no need to say more. Su Yun, 1 year to save the chaos, 2 years to restrain the Yin, 3 years to suppress the Yen, 4 years to build the Ho Wei, 5 years to build the Zhou army, 6 years to establish the rites and music, and 7 years to become the king. It's about his lifetime of achievements, the pioneer of Confucianism. Then what does he have to do with the dream interpreter? Yi Fala was a bit puzzled. Su Yun smiled bitterly. The connection is a bit funny. Because the Duke of Zhou contributed a lot to the establishment and perfection of the Zhou dynasty's feudal system, the Duke of Zhou enjoyed a very high status in Confucianism. Even the great Saint Confucius said, "I won't dream of the Duke of Zhou," which is a metaphor for the loss of the Zhou dynasty's etiquette culture. Ah! Yi Fala was confused. You managed to get in touch with Confucius? That's right. The Duke of Zhou is a figure that frequently appears in Confucius's dreams. Therefore, in Huaxia, where Confucianism has long dominated the culture, the Duke of Zhou is inevitably directly associated with dreams. Su Yun, because the Confucian culture is too powerful, this is inevitably caused by its influence. Then, no matter whose dream it is, they have to contact the god of Zhou. Even the students who sleep in class are said by the teachers to have gone to play chess with the god of Zhou. To put it bluntly, this is just a matter of word of mouth without any foundation? Yi Fala asked. You can't say that. The Duke of Zhou's dream interpretation is also considered an ancient cultural heritage. Moreover, it is indeed the crystallization of the vast number of laboring people's wisdom. Although it is difficult to be displayed in the Hall of Elegance, it is widely spread among the people. Su Yun said, but this thing doesn't have a master or a sect at all. The master you mentioned said that he was the successor of the Duke of Zhou, which is obviously nonsense. Duke of Zhou does have many sons, but all of them are nobles, generals, and ministers. His sons are also the monarchs of Zhou State, Lu State, Fan State, and a few other states. They are all monarchs. Yi Fala said in astonishment, the monarchs definitely wouldn't interpret dreams for others. Su Yun nodded. That's for sure. Moreover, even if Lu State was destroyed, during the reign of Emperor Ping of Han, Lu Qian was conferred the title of Duke of Baolu, Duke of Zhou. After Prince Quan died, he was posthumously conferred the title, and his son Gongsun Xiongru inherited the title. During the reign of Wang Mang, Xiongru's descendant Ji was conferred the title of Prince of Baolu. His family background is illustrious. Why would he interpret dreams for others for no reason? It's impossible for him to have a disciple. Only now did Yi Fala understand that the fellow who called himself a master was completely talking nonsense. The successor of the Duke of Zhou's dream interpretation. It was completely a pretense to fool people. Actually, the Duke of Zhou should be the model of a politician. The Confucian culture regards his personality as the highest example. The highest political ideal is the benevolent government of the beginning of Zhou. What Confucius advocated his entire life was also the Duke of Zhou's ritual and music system, Su Yun said. Isn't the difference between dream interpretation and politics too great? Yi Fala said. There is almost no connection between the two, right? Why is he said to be the model of a politician? There was once someone who slandered him in front of King Cheng, speaking ill of the Duke of Zhou. The Duke of Zhou had no choice but to flee to Chu to hide. Not long after, King Cheng flipped through the documents in the treasury, discovering the Duke of Zhou's prayers when he was sick. He was endlessly moved by the Duke of Zhou's loyalty to the country, immediately sending people to welcome the Duke of Zhou back. After the Duke of Zhou returned to Zhou, he still loyally toiled for the dynasty. After being wronged by King Cheng, he was still loyal and devoted, working his heart out for the development of Zhou dynasty, until his death, ruling the world. How do you know so much? Yi Farah's eyes widened. Perhaps I read all kinds of random books. After reading a lot, I naturally know a lot more. Su Yun said, I feel like on this point, I definitely know a lot more than that master. If he knew these things, he definitely wouldn't call himself the Duke of Zhou's successor, dream interpretation great master. Yi Farah didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then does that mean my dream doesn't have any meaning? Yes, of course it has meaning. Su Yun said, when you miss someone for a long time, you will definitely have some worries. Your dream only turned your worries during the day into an illusion. This only shows that you are worried, but it doesn't show that kid's situation. Then how do you think Fei Fan is doing now? Yi Farah frowned. Based on my understanding of that kid, he should be doing well. Su Yun said, at least I feel that the hunter school is a place that he likes. Yi Farah didn't think that there was anything good about the hunter school. Actually, I have always been very... I know, you must be brooding over this matter. Su Yun said, if I were you, I wouldn't want him to go to that kind of place either. It's true that I didn't look after him well. But, think about it from another angle. Since that place was his own choice, he will definitely like it. He is still a child. Children will often regret their choices. Yi Farah sighed. Do you think a place like the hunter school doesn't give people the chance to regret? There is no medicine for regret in this world. Su Yun said, you have to take responsibility for your choices. Yi Farah felt sorry for Bu Fifan. But you have to believe in his choice. Su Yun said, however, you are right about one thing. In the hunter school, he won't have any chance to regret. I knew it would be like this. Yi Farah frowned. Then when can I see him? I think that once he has the chance to enter the hunter school freely, he will definitely come back to see you. Su Yun said, at least he doesn't have that chance now. Without a certain qualification, it is impossible to enter the hunter school freely. Yi Farah looked at Su Yun expectantly. Then can I go see him? Don't forget your current situation. You can't leave Shenzhen for the time being. Su Yun's consciousness was saying that Yi Farah was still a criminal. She could only move around in Shenzhen. Once she left Shenzhen, it would exceed the rights she could enjoy now and she would be detained. Moreover, even if Yi Farah could come up with a solution, it was impossible for Su Yun to bring her to the Hunter Academy to look for Bu Fifan. Not everyone could enter the Hunter Academy as they wished, and even if they could enter, they would not be able to look for Bu Fifan. It wasn't a place where you could do whatever you wanted. The discipline of the Hunter School wasn't lax at all compared to the Dragon Brigade. It was even stricter than the Dragon Brigade. Otherwise, that place wouldn't have become a place filled with super experts. I can't be sure about other things, but I dare say that the current Bu Fifan is like a different person from the past. Su Yun said, believe it or not, even if you see him now, you won't believe that he is still the same child. Don't say that. I won't be able to see him anyway. Yi Farah shook her head in disappointment. Forget it. I know my request is unreasonable, but I really miss him. There is no news about this child at all. How can I not be worried? It would be good if he could just give me a call. Su Yun couldn't do anything about it. He could only apologize. It was very difficult for him to contact Bu Fifan. Chapter 35-42. Perhaps it was a telepathic connection. Bu Fifan had not been doing well recently. It was also a coincidence that Yi Farah had so many worried dreams. Half a year ago, Bu Fifan's mentor, Yi Yuan, who was also one of the 8 Hunter Academy instructors, Crocodile, was injured. The injury was so serious that he almost lost his life. Bu Fifan was also involved in a very dangerous whirlpool because of this incident. Yuan's head was worth $40 million on an illegal bounty website. Many people in the world wanted to get his head. It was because of the existence of these bounty hunters that very few people in the Pacific region dared to commit crimes. A few notorious evil forces were suppressed by them to the point that they could not even raise their heads. Almost no one with a bounty on their head could escape alive when they encountered the instructors of the Hunter Academy. However, Yuan met his match this time. The world-class criminal with a bounty of $36 million, Tor Tun, was reported to have appeared on an island in the Tonga region. It seemed like he was brewing a big conspiracy. Tor Tun was an Asian American mixed blood. He was a notorious guy because the worst thing he did was to trigger a huge virus on the world's internet. He was not only a bastard with multiple murder cases on his back, but he was also a super network genius who wrote the corrosive worm virus. The corrosive worm virus infected tens of millions of computers around the world and caused an unprecedented virus storm. This virus specifically targeted Microsoft's email server and email software. It was hidden in a Word file and spread through email as an attachment. It was good at attacking computers with Word installed. It could attack the computer's registry and modify its security settings to prevent macro viruses. It would cause the macro virus warning function of the infected files to lose its effect. Moreover, the virus would automatically repeat the above actions. This chain reaction could cause a large number of mail servers to be blocked in a short period of time. It could even flood the email server and severely affect people's normal internet communication. The most terrifying thing about the corrosive worm virus was not that it could paralyze the email server, but that a large number of core corporate and government secrets could be spread through the repeated transmission of emails. The affected users would not even know where the secrets were spread to. Tor Tun earned a lot of money by doing this. Because of this, the relevant departments all over the world were looking for this bastard. Of course, in addition to his hateful actions in the field of the internet, he was also a psychopath who had done some things that preyed on children. More importantly, he was not the kind of useless person that people imagined a computer genius to be. He had extremely strong combat power and even the strength of the supreme power realm. Such a person could simply hide himself flawlessly. It was extremely difficult to catch him. He was also a lone wolf, which made his whereabouts even more difficult to be detected. That was why the great hunters from the Hunter School were not willing to miss out on this opportunity. Yuan had dealt with Tuo Tong before, but it was a pity that Yuan didn't manage to catch that bastard. So when this matter occurred, Yuan took the initiative to volunteer. He said that he wouldn't let that bastard go this time. Yuan immediately rushed to Tonga. Tonga was located in the southwest of the Pacific Ocean near the equator. It was an island country made up of more than 170 islands. Only about 30 of them were inhabited, and most of them were coral islands. This greatly reduced the difficulty of Yuan's tracking. He was sure that Tuo Tong was on one of the 30 islands. In order to find Tuo Tong, Yuan spent more than 10 days. However, when he found Tuo Tong, he fell into Tuo Tong's trap and was severely injured by Tuo Tong before he could make a move. Yuan only brought Bu Fifan with him this time. When he went to catch Tuo Tong, he did not let Bu Fifan go. He knew that this matter was very dangerous and that Bu Fifan could not handle it, so he went alone. After waiting for a long time, Bu Fifan realized that something was wrong. He immediately rushed to the target location, only to see Yuan lying in a pool of blood. Bu Fifan immediately contacted the Hunter School. The first instructor, Zhue Ming, ordered Bu Fifan not to act rashly and that he would bring people over as soon as possible. However, Zhue Ming was not Bu Fifan's instructor, so Bu Fifan did not feel that his order was inviolable. After all, the person lying in a pool of blood was the closest person to him in the Hunter School. While Bu Fifan was at a loss, Yuan's phone rang. Bu Fifan picked up the phone and heard Tuo Tong's voice. "I was almost bitten by this crocodile last time. Luckily, I reacted quickly this time. I believe this crocodile will turn into a dead crocodile soon. How dare you try to bite me? You guys from the hunter school should learn from your mistakes. Tuo Tong seemed to be able to see Bu Fifan. Bu Fifan was furious. He immediately asked where Tuo Tong was. Tuo Tong told Bu Fifan where he was like a cat toying with a mouse. Bu Fifan wanted to seek revenge, but he was tortured by Tuo Tong right away. With Bu Fifan's current strength, Tuo Tong didn't treat him as a decent opponent at all. Tuo Tong was toying with Bu Fifan and crippled him. In the end, Bu Fifan had 37 broken bones in his body. Perhaps Tuo Tong did not take his life because he did not care about Bu Fifan's life at all. Bu Fifan and Yi Yuan's lives were hanging by a thread when Dongfeng Fan arrived with his men and found them. That being said, even though Bu Fifan was in a bad condition, he was still in a much better condition than Yi Yuan. Half a year later, Bu Fifan's injuries had mostly healed. His bones were mostly healed, too. After all, he was a young man. He was in a much better condition after a long period of rest and adjustment. However, Yi Yuan's situation wasn't as optimistic. In the beginning, Yi Yuan almost couldn't be saved. If it wasn't for the ancient magpie realm begging Wu Qiuzi to come over, Yi Yuan's little life would have been gone. Even with Wu Qiuzi's help, Yi Yuan's situation was still not optimistic. The best outcome for the first 3 months was that he would end up in a vegetative state for the rest of his life. Fortunately, Yi Yuan was a competitive person. He used the last bit of consciousness he had left to break through the crisis he was facing. He did not let his last bit of consciousness disappear, and after a little struggle, he finally woke up. Wu Qiuzi was amazed by this miracle. She was surprised that he could wake up. Although he woke up and his life was saved, Yi Yuan was still unable to get out of bed and walk on his own. Even though he had not completely lost his ability to move, he needed help to do everything. Yi Yuan was so depressed that he did not even have the strength to throw a cup to vent his anger. He would rather die in this state. Wu Qiuzi gave him enough medicine, but said that she couldn't guarantee the result. Whether Yi Yuan could recover like a normal person or not, it completely depended on his own perseverance and luck. However, there was one thing that Wu Qiuzi was certain of. It was almost impossible for Yi Yuan to be the same as before. Even if he completely recovered, it would be a pity if he could still have half of his strength. Wu Qiuzi did not tell Yi Yuan this, but everyone in the Hunter Academy knew. However, this was all for later. Right now, everyone only prayed that Yi Yuan could return to a normal person. Even if all his martial arts were destroyed, it was still better than becoming a cripple. Now that he looked like a cripple, Yi Yuan felt that he would rather die than live. He was too angry, and he would rather die in this state. Wu Qiuzi had done her best, but it was far from enough for Yi Yuan. Ever since Wu Qiuzi left, Yi Yuan had become a man of few words. He wouldn't speak to anyone in front of him. The only person that could make Yi Yuan happy was Bu Fifan. At least, Bu Fifan didn't turn into a ghost like him. This might be the only thing that Yi Yuan was happy about. Yi Yuan also regretted his current situation. It was all because of his overconfidence that he ended up in this situation. If Bu Fifan were to become like him, then wouldn't he be even more regretful? At least he had some comfort now. Bu Fifan was Yi Yuan's only comfort. Chapter 35-43. Bu Fifan had never held any grudges against anyone, but through this incident, he had established the first target of his hatred in his life. It was none other than Tuo Tong. Bu Fifan swore that he would find that bastard and kill him no matter what price he had to pay. However, Bu Fifan's results were only good enough for him to graduate from the Hunter Academy. It was impossible for him to kill Tuo Tong with his current strength. It would take a long time for him to reach Tuo Tong's level. Even if he had enough time, he would need to work harder than anyone else to reach Tuo Tong's level. Even if Bu Fifan's bone structure was unique and he was definitely a talented fighter, he still needed enough time to work hard. Without enough time to work hard, it was meaningless to rely only on his talent. This was similar to leveling up in online games. Players with innate skills would be stronger than ordinary players, but if they didn't have the time to train, a level 10 smurf wouldn't be able to beat a level 100 smurf. Everyone could see Bu Fifan's anger. They all knew what Bu Fifan was thinking, but no one dared to mention it to him. Everyone was worried that something would happen to Bu Fifan, and Bu Fifan himself knew it. When Bu Fifan's body had almost fully recovered, he spent most of his time training other than spending time with Yuan. During this month, everyone who saw Bu Fifan would advise him to take a rest. After all, no one could last long with only 3 hours of sleep a day. Prolonged sleep would cause a person to fall sick from overwork. However, Bu Fifan did not listen to anyone's advice. His mind was filled with only one thought, and that was to become stronger. He knew that only by becoming stronger could he stand a chance against Tuotong. Otherwise, even if he had the chance to meet Tuotong, he would be crushed by him with his current strength. Every time Bu Fifan wanted to stop training to rest, he would think of Tuotong's disdainful smile in front of him. That kind of humiliation was absolutely intolerable to him. Bu Fifan swore to himself every day. Every day, he would emphasize that he must kill that bastard Tuotong with his own hands. In the end, even Dongfang Fan could not persuade him. This kid had gone completely crazy. Fei Fan paid a price for his crazy actions. In the end, he was exhausted. When he was lying on the bed, completely powerless to get up, the ancient magpie realm arrived in front of him. Bu Fifan felt an unprecedented respect towards the ancient magpie world. This was his lifelong goal, so this was a great encouragement for him. However, Gu Magpie told Bu Fifan, "If you continue like this, don't waste a single second. I believe that with your talent, you will be able to catch up to Tuotong. When you see Tuotong, you can kill him with your own hands." When Bu Fifan heard the first half of the sentence, he felt an inexplicable surge of energy. He actually sat up. That's right. He wanted to continue training. "But I guarantee that if you continue like this for a month, you will become a cripple forever." Gu Magpie Jie's words changed. "When the time comes, forget about revenge, you won't even have the chance to see Tuotong." "What revenge are you talking about?" Bu Fifan was stunned. This was definitely the biggest blow he had ever suffered. The Hunter Academy's training has been designed with your limits in mind. You can break through your limits, but remember, if you don't break through without rest and adaptation, you will end up with nothing. Gu Magpie Jie did not waste any more words on Bu Fifan. He left after saying this. Because of this, Bu Fifan did not get up from his bed for an entire day and night. He did not even drink a single drop of water. He couldn't wait that long because even if he didn't waste a single second, he would still need 10 years. However, he couldn't improve himself every single second, so even if he spent 10 years, he wouldn't be able to catch up to Tuotong's strength. Could he not avenge Yuan in 10 years? This was definitely a fatal blow to Bu Fifan. After knowing that Bu Fifan had suffered such a blow, Yuan found him and said that he wanted to have a good talk with him. Bu Fifan did not want to see Yuan at first. He did not like others to see him in such a hopeless state. He especially did not want Yuan to see him, as he was afraid that Yuan would be disappointed in him. Yuan did not force him. He waited in front of his room and asked everyone to leave. Yuan was someone who needed help to take care of himself, so he waited in front of Bu Fifan's room for 2 hours. Finally, Bu Fifan opened the door for Yuan. To Bu Fifan's surprise, Yuan, who was barely able to take care of himself, suddenly stood up and gave Bu Fifan a kick with all his might. The kick was so powerful that it sent Bu Fifan flying back into his room. Yuan also fell heavily into the wheelchair after this kick. Because he lost his balance, Yuan's wheelchair directly tilted to the ground, and Yuan also fell to the ground with the wheelchair. Bu Fifan was not angry at all after being kicked. Instead, he got up excitedly. He was extremely excited at the moment. If Yuan could recover, it would be the most extravagant thing for Bu Fifan. However, when Bu Fifan ran excitedly to Yuan's side, Yuan roared at him and stopped him. "Don't touch me. I'd rather die here than let a piece of trash with no balls help me." Yuan scolded, "I'm only the 8th instructor in the Hunter Academy. I can't be compared to Conger Eel, I can't be compared to Lone Wolf, and I can't be compared to Zhue Ming. But I'm a man with balls. No matter how bad my students are, they must have balls. A piece of trash with no balls doesn't deserve to be my student." Yuan's anger completely stunned Bu Fifan. Bu Fifan looked at Yi Yuan, who was lying on the ground helplessly. He did not know what to do. Yi Yuan's eyes were bloodshot. He glared at Bu Fifan. Who do you think you are? Do you think the world is yours? Do you think you can do whatever you want? Do you want to avenge me? Do I need you to avenge me? You haven't even learned how to walk and you want to compete with others in running. Bu Fifan looked at Yi Yuan without saying a word. I'm telling you, Bu Fifan, you're just a tiny speck of sand in this world. You can't change anything. Yi Yuan continued, do you think I'll be grateful to you if you play so hard and end up crippling yourself? No. Never. I'll never King be grateful to a weakling. A piece of trash. A piece of trash who doesn't even have the most basic rationality doesn't deserve to be my student. Yi Yuan's every word was a hysterical roar. Many people were shocked by Yi Yuan's voice, but no one dared to step forward. They knew that this was Yi Yuan and Bu Fifan's private space. This was the private time of an instructor and a student. Bu Fifan's tears fell from the corner of his eyes. Although Bu Fifan knew that Yi Yuan's every word was for his own good, he still could not control the grievance in his heart, nor could he control his tears. Even though he knew very well that men do not cry easily. But at this moment, he could not control himself. Are you a pussy? You've been with me for so long and you still have tears. Yi Yuan was even angrier. Do you know what tears are? Do you know what my crocodile tears are? I don't have any King tears. Who taught you how to cry? Hold it back. Bu Fifan actually held back his tears and wiped them away. His eyes were as red as walnuts, but not a single drop of tear fell from his eyes. This child's strength was what Yi Yuan valued the most. At this moment, Bu Fifan's heart was aching, but Yi Yuan's heart was also tearing apart. After all, he was the one who raised Bu Fifan. Yi Yuan also saw Bu Fifan's true nature in this matter. To Yi Yuan, the person he owed the most and was most grateful to was Bu Fifan. But at this moment, he could not say those words. At this moment, he had to clench his teeth and make himself look like a complete bastard. Chapter 35-44. When Bu Fifan calmed down, Yi Yuan also calmed down. His anger was just a way for him to vent. He didn't really want to blame Bu Fifan for anything, because Bu Fifan had already done enough. The stubborn boy wiped his tears and stood still in front of Yi Yuan. Yi Yuan was still lying next to the wheelchair. Fifan. Yi Yuan's voice calmed down. Do you know why I chose you when you came to the Hunter Academy? Bu Fifan was silent for a few seconds before he said, because my talent was not good enough. Zhue Ming and Lone Wolf didn't want me. Your talent was not good enough? Ha ha ha, you don't know. Every one of us wanted you. Your talent was only bad on the surface. Yi Yuan said, plus, we were all experienced. We all know that it's ridiculous to judge a kid's talent before they even start practicing martial arts. Bu Fifan was stunned. He did not know what Yi Yuan was trying to say. I chose you because I was very similar to you when I was young. Yi Yuan said, so I feel that your appearance is a kind of fate given to us by God. So you chose me? Bu Fifan said, but, no one was willing to fight with you for me. No one was willing to fight with me for you? Yi Yuan chuckled. Yi Shui almost fought with me, and you still have the nerve to say no one was willing to fight with me? You're saying that Drillmaster Moray Eel also wants me? Bu Fifan was shocked. Yi Yuan nodded. Yes, she does have high hopes for you. Moray Eel, Yi Shui, was the only female drillmaster in the Hunter Academy. She was a genius. She was the youngest drillmaster because she was born in a famous family. She started practicing martial arts when she was 3 and literature when she was 5. Her foundation was stronger than anyone else's. Among the 8 drillmasters, Yi Shui's ranking was even higher than Yi Yuan's. All these years, Yi Yuan had been saying that he was not convinced, but that was just empty talk. He was convinced by Yi Shui from the bottom of his heart. Yi Shui has a younger brother. She said that when she saw you, It was like seeing her younger brother, but her younger brother was separated from their family when he was very young. Yi Yuan said, "Back then, Yi Shui's family suffered a premeditated threat and ultimately failed to survive." Bu Fifan nodded. In the past, he didn't have a good impression of the cold-faced Yi Shui. However, at this moment, his thoughts changed. He didn't expect Yi Shui to have such a past. She feels that the reason why she is where she is today is all because of the principal's help. But it's been more than 10 years, and she hasn't made any progress in finding her brother. Yi Yuan said, "Perhaps she has an indescribable feeling when she sees you. If you treat her better in the future, she might feel better." "I understand." Bu Fifan nodded. "Since you understand, why don't you help me up?" Yi Yuan said unhappily, "You kid, don't tell me you deliberately want me to lie on the ground all the time?" Bu Fifan hurriedly went forward to help Yi Yuan up and into the wheelchair. Yi Yuan looked at Bu Fifan and finally couldn't help laughing. Bu Fifan looked at Yi Yuan in confusion and asked uncomfortably, "What are you laughing at? If you don't make it clear, I'll throw you to the ground." "Don't you dare." Yi Yuan glared and pretended to be angry. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Bu Fifan said disapprovingly, "I'm your student. You know my temperament better than anyone else. You know better than anyone else what I can do." Yi Yuan was stunned by Bu Fifan's words and couldn't say a word. Bu Fifan was right. He knew the temperament of his student too well, so he didn't doubt that Bu Fifan would directly drag him out of the wheelchair. "I'm just laughing at you. You're too stupid, kid." Yi Yuan said, "You said you want revenge. I can understand that. But you're ready to solve this matter immediately. That's obviously impossible." "Who says it's impossible?" Bu Fifan said, "I can't wait any longer. A person like Tuo Tong will be killed by a ruthless person someday. If he dies, where can I find him for revenge? I'm not dead yet, and you're already in a hurry to take revenge." Yi Yuan patted him. "Let me tell you, that bastard will be our prey sooner or later. I promise you that." "You..." Bu Fifan wanted to say something but stopped. What he actually wanted to say was, "You're already like this. Maybe you won't be able to recover for the rest of your life. How can you deal with Tuo Tong?" However, Bu Fifan didn't say this because it was too hurtful. Bu Fifan knew that once some words were said, there was no chance to make up for it. He didn't want to hurt Yi Yuan because of his thoughtless words. Yi Yuan was stunned. "What did I do?" "Nothing. I'm just afraid that you can't wait." Bu Fifan changed his words. "Revenge is a dish best served cold. Why can't I wait?" Yi Yuan said, "Let me tell you, I definitely won't let that bastard go. He better not give me a chance. If I get the chance, I'll make him die a horrible death." Bu Fifan nodded. "I'll help you find him. What you need to do now is actually very simple. You just need to strengthen yourself. When you're strong enough, you won't miss every opportunity to catch Tuo Tong." Yi Yuan said, "You won't be like me, missing the opportunity when it's right in front of you. If that bastard didn't sneak attack you, he wouldn't have been able to escape." Bu Fifan said unhappily, "That despicable bastard. There's no such thing as a gentleman or a despicable person in a war." Yi Yuan said, "Tuo Tong is a heinous person. You can't expect him to confront you head-on like a gentleman. I should have thought of this long ago, but I was careless." Bu Fifan clenched his fist tightly. He wanted to skin Tuo Tong alive. If he caught Tuo Tong now, he could swear that he would skin that bastard alive and make him suffer a fate worse than death. "I know you're angry and anxious. In fact, I'm the same. I want to avenge myself more than anyone else." Yi Yuan smiled slightly, "But I can only sit in a wheelchair for so long. It made me understand that this kind of thing can't be forced. If there's no way to solve it, then there's no way to solve it. Why do we have to solve it? Not solve it. Of course, I'm not saying that we'll never solve it." Yi Yuan said, "I just think that since the time isn't right, why do we have to solve the problem at this time? In fact, many problems can be thought of from another angle." Bu Fifan nodded. He seemed to understand Yi Yuan's meaning. It's actually very simple. Let's look at the bright side. We still have a long way to go in this life. Sooner or later, we'll encounter a good opportunity. Yi Yuan said, I believe in you. Even if I can't move for the rest of my life, I believe that you can help me kill that bastard Tuatong. Yes. Bu Fifan nodded. Although he seemed to agree with Yi Yuan, in fact, Bu Fifan didn't think so in his heart. He felt that he had to fight for any opportunity on his own, and the earlier the better. The longer he waited, the more variables there would be. No one could be sure if Tuatong would suddenly figure it out one day and live a secret life under a different name. The world was so big. There were hundreds of countries and regions with billions of people. If Tuatong wanted to hide, it would be too easy. If such a day came, where would he find someone to avenge him? Bu Fifan wouldn't let Tuatong go just because he was willing to turn over a new leaf. A heinous person like Tuatong definitely couldn't live in this world. His existence in this world was unfair to the rest of the people in this world. Therefore, Bu Fifan insisted that he must find a chance to kill Tuatong as soon as possible. Every day that this kind of person lived was an insult to all the ordinary people in this world. Although it was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge, who could guarantee that this guy would commit more heinous crimes in these 10 years? Therefore, Bu Fifan would never let him go. Yes, absolutely not. Chapter 35-45. Yi Yuan felt that Bu Fifan understood what he said, so he didn't think too much about it. With Bu Fifan's current condition, Yi Yuan still needed to rest. Because of this, Yi Yuan didn't care too much about Bu Fifan's condition. He could only ask Yi Shui to help him keep an eye on Bu Fifan. After all, this kid was very troublesome. Dongfeng Fan and Tang Yiping had too many things to do. Yi Yuan was worried that if he left Bu Fifan to them, they wouldn't be able to supervise him. At first, Yi Shui didn't agree. She even deliberately mocked Yi Yuan. She said that since he was his student, he should always take care of him. If he wanted her to take care of him now, he should have let her take care of him from the beginning. Yi Yuan knew Yi Shui's temper. She said this just to piss him off. The principal had told Yi Yuan that Yi Shui was going to keep provoking him until the day he could stand up. She firmly believed that with Yi Yuan's bad temper, he would definitely want to stand up and compete with her one day. That was why she liked to provoke him with her words. Yi Yuan was very grateful for this, but Yi Shui didn't know all of this. Crocodile, I'm telling you, I've always believed in my charisma. It's not a problem for your student to follow me, but I can assure you that I only need half a year to make him willingly stay by my side as a student. Yi Shui said to Yi Yuan, So, you disappointing bastard, if you still can't stand up after half a year, then don't blame me for poaching you. Will you die if you say something nice? Yi Yuan shook his head helplessly. My head hurts when I see you. Don't provoke me every day. I have a heart disease. If I were you, I would be willing to have a heart attack. At least it would be better than being like this. Yi Shui was famous for her poisonous tongue. If it wasn't for the ancient magpie world informing Yi Yuan in advance, Yi Yuan would have been angered to death by Yi Shui's poisonous tongue. The ancient magpie world told Yi Yuan about Yi Shui's idea in advance because they were worried that she would go too far. Although she had good intentions, her poisonous tongue could easily ruin things. If Yi Yuan didn't lose to injuries in the end, but to Yi Shui's poisonous tongue, it would be a great loss. Even if he knew Yi Shui's purpose, her words were enough to make Yi Yuan's heart ache. This venomous woman was poisonous. He really couldn't chat with her. All right, I'll hand him over to you. If I, this useless trash, still can't stand up, then he'll be yours in the future. Yi Yuan said, Are you satisfied now? You threw him to me halfway. How would I know if he was ruined by you in the beginning? Yi Shui said disdainfully. Do you think I want to accept this kind of student halfway? Yi Shui would say such words on a daily basis. Yi Yuan almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Sigh, it was really too difficult to be a person these days. By the way, let me tell you something. You can't just say what you want. Yi Shui added, I also want to see if that kid has the qualifications to follow me. If he has already been taught to be useless by you, I won't accept a piece of trash. Yi Yuan was so angry that he rolled his eyes. Can't you be kinder to a patient? Can you do it? Look at what I am now. You still have the nerve to say that to me? If you're not happy, then stand up and hit me. Yi Shui rolled her eyes at Yi Yuan. You couldn't beat me before. Don't even think about it now. Yi Yuan was really about to explode with anger. Well, he finally admitted that Yi Shui's methods were indeed useful. Several times, Yi Yuan almost stood up and fought with her. Of course, Yi Yuan was really grateful to the principal for reminding him of what Yi Shui was going to do to him. If it wasn't for the principal's reminder, Yi Yuan probably would have vomited blood. It must be known that even after the principal's reminder, Yi Yuan could still be angered by Yi Shui's poisonous tongue. It was self-evident how poisonous this woman's tongue was. I swear, after I can stand up, the first person I'll deal with is you. Just you wait. Yi Yuan gritted his teeth. All right, I'll wait. But how long are you going to make me wait? Yi Shui looked at Yi Yuan provocatively. Half a year? A year? I think I can wait for you for a year at most. If you tell me you need 5 or 10 years, then I'm sorry, I don't have that much time to wait for you. Yi Yuan slapped the wheelchair. Don't force me. If you force me, I'll get up tomorrow and let you have a taste of my fist. Heh. Yi Shui paused. Heh. This word almost made Yi Yuan jump up in anger. Yi Shui turned and left. She was going to find that little bastard Bu Fifan. Yi Shui didn't want that little bastard to train himself until he became useless. Damn you. Just you wait. Yi Yuan yelled at Yi Shui's back. Yi Shui waved her hand without turning her head. Don't talk nonsense with a guy in a wheelchair. Yi Yuan regretted calling Yi Shui over. He was simply asking for trouble. Alas, Yi Yuan sighed. He was sure that Bu Fifan wouldn't have an easy time under Yi Shui's watch. Yi Shui was definitely someone who could use words to give that prideful brat a blow to the head. Bu Fifan didn't have a bad impression of Yi Shui because of what Yi Yuan told him. When Yi Shui called him over, Bu Fifan bowed respectfully and said, Greetings, Instructor Moray-Il. No need to be so polite. Yi Shui didn't even raise her head. Let me ask you, what have you learned from your master all these years? I've learned from my master. Bu Fifan paused for a moment and replied, Everything. Yi Shui suddenly kicked the chair beside her. Bu Fifan didn't have time to dodge and was hit by the chair. He grimaced in pain. That's all you've got? Yi Shui said to Bu Fifan unhappily. I don't want you to be a good-for-nothing. Didn't that stinky crocodile tell you? I have my principles when it comes to accepting students. They must be smart. If you can't even dodge a chair, then I won't take you seriously. Bu Fifan was taken aback by Yi Shui's display of strength, and he was in a bad mood. He thought Instructor Moray-Il would be friendly to him because of his situation, but he did not expect Moray-Il to set rules for him. Bu Fifan did not expect this at all. However, since Bu Fifan was here, he couldn't be humiliated. He gritted his teeth and endured this. It didn't matter if he was criticized, but he couldn't embarrass Yi Yuan. If he were to embarrass his instructor, Bu Fifan would no longer have the face to continue working in this circle. I've been injured before, so I haven't adjusted my body's condition yet. Bu Fifan said to Yi Shui seriously. If it was before, this wouldn't be a problem for me. I can definitely dodge it. I didn't ask you to find an excuse. Yi Shui glared at him. Anyone can find an excuse. Bu Fifan didn't say anything else. He knew that whatever he said would be rebutted by Yi Shui. Yi Shui looked at Bu Fifan for a long time and said slowly, Do you want me to lift the chair up and apologize to you? No need. Bu Fifan didn't say anything else. He lifted the chair and looked up at Yi Shui. The strong never need to apologize to the weak. Crocodile taught me before. I don't need you to tell me again. Yi Shui nodded. She seemed very satisfied with Bu Fifen's answer. Not bad. I thought Crocodile didn't teach you anything. It seems that you have achieved something by following him. At least you know the basics. Bu Fifen looked at Yi Shui in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. I also know that if the weak wants the strong to apologize to them, they have to show more strength than the strong. If one day, the weak is strong enough to fight against the strong will naturally apologize. Yi Shui laughed when she heard this. Ha ha ha, very good. I like kids with this kind of attitude. Crocodile is a bastard with guts. I was most worried that he would teach a bastard with no guts. Fortunately, he didn't disappoint me. I won't disappoint you. Bu Fifen didn't hate Yi Shui because of this. Before I came here, I knew that if I want Drillmaster Eel to think highly of me, I have to show him a respectable attitude. Yi Shui was very satisfied. Good. Then I'll see if you can make me think highly of you. By the way, I forgot to tell you that my standards are very high. I've heard about it. Bu Fifen nodded. And I'm definitely someone who can apologize to the strong. Yi Shui continued, I hope you can remember what happened today and stand in front of me with the attitude of a strong person while I'm still alive. Tell me that you still remember what happened today because I have a bad memory, especially when it comes to the weak. I forget very quickly. I will remind you before you forget. Bu Fifen's answer was very firm. Chapter 35-46. Just like that, Bu Fifen began to accept Yi Shui's training. As he had already prepared for everything, he could easily adapt to all of Yi Shui's high-intensity training. Yi Shui was very satisfied with this. Yi Shui knew very well that if this kid could not even endure this, it would be a waste of her time arguing with Yi Yuan to take him in. Bu Fifen had sworn that he would never let anyone look down on him. Therefore, everything he did was not only for Yi Yuan, but also for himself. Moreover, he also carried the glory of another person on his back, and that was Su Yun. No matter what, he was Su Yun's godson. Bu Fifen could embarrass himself, he could embarrass Yi Yuan, but he would never embarrass Su Yun. Because of this, Bu Fifen would do his best even if he had to grit his teeth. He would never let Yi Shui say anything she was not satisfied with. Everyone in the hunter school knew about his relationship with Su Yun. Even the principal, Gu Magpie Jie, once said to him, I really want to see what you've got to make the kid from the Su family think highly of you. Because of this, Bu Fifen put in 3 times more effort than everyone else who entered the hunter school at the same time. It was like a halo, but this halo was very stressful. He did not allow himself to be worse than others. Everyone had a reason not to be first, but he did not. Just like Hua Xia's table tennis team, or Hua Xia's diving team, these people who could be called the dream team would always feel more pressure than others when it came to the Olympic Games. Because for them, not winning a gold medal was tantamount to failure. Their pressure was just like Bu Fifen's. Bu Fifen was feeling this kind of pressure. Because of this halo, he had to put in more effort than others. If Bu Fifen was like Hua Xia's men's football team, he would naturally not feel so much pressure. Because Hua Xia's men's football team could not even qualify for the Olympic Games, let alone win a medal. If I remember correctly, it was in 2008 when they were the hosts of the Olympic Games. Of course, if it was traced back to the 1980s, it seemed that they had participated once. The result naturally did not disappoint the Hua Xia fans. Not scoring a single goal was a characteristic of the Hua Xia men's football team. Bu Fifen had never heard his instructors motivate him by saying, You don't have much time left. You'll win if you can last for 90 minutes. Bu Fifen had already gotten used to this kind of pressure. He had already said goodbye to a stress-free life. Although Yi Shui had not known Bu Fifen for a long time, she was starting to like him more and more. Even the sharp-tongued female instructor of the hunter school could not complain about him in many matters. Bu Fifen used the shortest amount of time to gain Yi Shui's trust. Even Instructor Eel, who was known as the strictest among the 8 instructors, could give Bu Fifen special treatment. No one would believe this. However, Bu Fifen was so awesome that he did what no one else could. In fact, Bu Fifan had learned a lot about instructor Moray Eel during this period of interaction. Yi Shui was a typical cold beauty. She had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. It was obvious from the incident with Yi Yuan. Every time she saw Yi Yuan, she would scold him, but behind his back, she was more concerned about Tuo Tong's situation than anyone else. She would not let the bastard Tuo Tong get away scot-free. Although Yi Shui didn't say anything, she definitely took Yi Yuan's hatred to heart. Yi Yuan was her friend, and her friend might be paralyzed in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. This was something that Yi Shui didn't want to happen. Tuo Tong's crimes were unforgivable to her. The entire hunter school was using all their resources to search for Tuo Tong's whereabouts. Everything was under preparation, but no one knew about it to Bu Fifan. Bu Fifan's current strength was not enough to do it. It was too dangerous for him to take on Tuo Tong. After judging from various aspects, if he wanted to deal with Tuo Tong alone, he was afraid that only Zhue Ming or Lone Wolf would be able to make people feel at ease. If it was anyone else, they might not feel at ease, including Yi Shui. Therefore, it was even less likely for Bu Fifan to take on Tuo Tong. However, everyone knew how important this matter was to Bu Fifan, and how deep his hatred for Tuo Tong ran. Therefore, no one told Bu Fifan anything. Everyone was worried that Bu Fifan would act irrationally once he knew the whereabouts of that bastard Tuo Tong. After all, Bu Fifan was too young, and his mind was not mature yet. It was normal for him to do something impulsive. Everyone had done something impulsive when they were young. They did not tell Bu Fifan about Tuo Tong because it was for his own good. Bu Fifan would not understand. There was no doubt about it. However, there was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. One night, after all the training was over, Bu Fifan wanted to talk to Yi Shui about increasing the intensity of his training. However, he heard something that he did not expect. When Bu Fifan was dozens of meters away from Yi Shui's house, he saw a light flash at the door. It was Yi Shui who opened the door. At the door was Yi Yuan in a wheelchair. The person pushing Yi Yuan was Tang Yipeng, who Bu Fifan was familiar with. Yi Shui gestured for the two to enter the room and then quickly closed the door. It seemed that there was something important to discuss. Bu Fifan was a little confused. If there was something important to discuss, as Yi Yuan and Yi Shui's student, as well as someone who was familiar with Tang Yipeng, shouldn't he be asked to serve tea or at least push the wheelchair? Therefore, Bu Fifan was confused. Maybe they wanted to talk about something related to him. Thinking of this, Bu Fifan was a little excited. He didn't want to disturb them, so he walked forward cautiously. He decided to secretly listen to the instructor's evaluation of him. This was a great curiosity for a young man. However, when Bu Fifan carefully walked to the door, he heard a conversation he did not expect at all. "There's news about Tuo Tong," Tang Yipeng said to Yi Shui, "but we can't let Fifan know about this." Yi Shui did not say anything. She just nodded silently. She knew why Tang Yipeng said they could not let Fifan know. Once Fifan knew, he would not be patient anymore. "Although this doesn't seem to be a fair thing for him, we have no choice but to do so," Tang Yipeng added. "He's still a child. He's impulsive." Yi Yuan said, "I know him. Even if he knows the dangerous consequences of his impulsiveness, he will still do it. If he doesn't do it, he won't be him." Yi Yuan knew Bu Fifan too well. Bu Fifan was indeed the kind of child he was talking about. "I know." Yi Shui nodded and said to Yi Yuan, "Although I haven't been in contact with him as long as you have, I only need this period of time to understand what kind of child he is." "I know very well. I don't need you to remind me of this." Yi Yuan was stunned. However, he knew Yi Shui's way of speaking, so he accepted her words calmly. "We can't let anyone else know about this to Bu Fifan, so I hope you two will be extra careful." Tang Yipeng said, "Especially you. That kid is following you every day. You can't let it slip. I'm worried he'll ask you, 'Do you think I'm the kind of person who talks nonsense?'" Yi Shui glared at Lone Wolf. "First, I don't have a big mouth. Second, he won't dare to talk nonsense in front of me. I'm not as good-tempered as Crocodile. He knows that." I say, why is your mouth so unforgiving? Yi Yuan sighed helplessly. Do you think we're all blind? Everyone can see that you treat Fifan differently from others. You're paying more attention to him. Yi Shui's words made Yi Yuan choke to death. That's because he used to be your student. Your student's foundation is worse than mine, so I have to put in more effort. Otherwise, if he doesn't produce results in the end, you will blame me for not educating him well. Yi Yuan really wanted to vomit blood and kill himself. This woman's mouth was always like this. It made him uncomfortable, but he could not vent his anger. Chapter 35-47. Tang Yiping knew that the two of them would definitely argue with each other. He said helplessly, I don't care what the situation is. Both of you should keep your mouths shut. Fei Fan must not know about this. I don't need to tell you what to do. Can you not talk so much nonsense like a woman? Yi Shui glanced at Tang Yiping. Do you need to repeat such a small thing? I'm just worried that you'll be careless. Tang Yiping said and waved his hand. Well, this matter is temporarily closed. I won't say more. Then who's chasing after this matter now? Yi Shui asked again. Zhui Ming. Tang Yiping nodded. The headmaster could only trust him or Dongfang Fan to handle this matter. Yi Shui glanced at Yi Yuan. If this matter is solved by Zhui Ming, will you be unwilling? Yi Yuan froze for a moment. He thought about it and nodded. Maybe. After all, this matter is my business. If I let Zhui Ming solve it, I will definitely feel some regret. You all know my temper. I don't want my business to be solved by others. Even if I have no hope in this life, I still hope that my own student can solve this matter. If I let Zhui Ming solve this matter, wouldn't I owe him another favor? Can I still raise my head in front of him in the future? Although the last sentence was a joke, Tang Yiping and Yi Shui still heard Yi Yuan's helplessness. But have you ever thought that if you let your student solve it, even the fastest one will not be able to do it in 8 to 10 years? Tang Yiping said, moreover, in these 10 years, Tua Tong will not be stagnant. Yi Yuan smiled bitterly. Ha ha ha, I'm just saying. Since there's no other way, I can only owe Zhui Ming a favor. Do you think Zhui Ming will care about the favor you owe him? Yi Shui said disdainfully, only you will take this matter seriously. It's because he will not do anything that I am even more unhappy. Yi Yuan rolled his eyes. You all know that I don't want to owe others. Zhui Ming is not just anyone. He is your brother who went through life and death with you. Tang Yiping shook his head. We've been through life and death together. If Tua Tong died in his hands, it means he died in your hands. Yi Yuan waved his hand. Forget it, forget it. You won't understand even if I explain it to you. If you think it's reliable, then so be it. Anyway, I can't do anything now. As long as I can still stand up, I'll give it a try. It's a pity that you can't stand up right now, so just sit there obediently. Yi Shui pointed to the door and said, It's getting late. If you don't want to tell me about the situation, then I won't see you off. Tang Yiping and Yi Yuan were also helpless. Originally, I came to look for you to freeload some tea. Yi Yuan said. I heard that the principal gave you a piece of old banzhong. Don't you plan on sharing it with us? If you still want to talk to me about the latest development of this matter, then I can make a pot for you. But if you don't want to continue talking, then there's no way you're just here to get some tea, Yi Shui said without any trace of politeness. Tang Yiping smiled bitterly. It's so difficult to get a cup of tea from you. Sigh. Lone Wolf, if you know anything else, just say it. It's not easy to drink such good tea. Yi Yuan motioned Tang Yiping to sit down and then said to Yi Shui, Hurry up, don't be so stingy. I'm also a patient. How can you refuse a patient's request? Yi Shui rolled her eyes at Yi Yuan and then went to prepare the hot water. Don't you think it's a loss for me to waste so much time talking to you in exchange for a cup of tea? Tang Yiping smiled bitterly. You don't lose at all. You don't know that the status of Old Banjiang tea in Yunnan Pu'er tea is like the status of the Hongpao tea in Fujian Oolong tea. Yi Yuan had a deep understanding of tea. Old Banjiang is particular about the tea flavor. The pure-blooded Old Banjiang tea flavor is the one with the most tea flavor in Pu'er tea. You even know this? Tang Yipeng looked at Yi Yuan with a little surprise. Yi Yuan looked like an old pedant. Of course. The characteristics of Old Banjiang tea are that the bitter and astringent taste of the tea is the most sweet and long-lasting effect. The color of the soup is called bright. The bottom of the leaves is soft and well-proportioned, and there's a hint of honey fragrance. The aroma is pure and strong, stable, with a strong taste. It also helps to reduce phlegm and moisten the throat, making the cheeks salivate. If you like the smell of honey, you can just drink the honey directly, Tang Yipeng said. Yi Yuan looked at him speechlessly. I say, you really have no taste. Tang Yipeng nodded indifferently. Yes, that's why the principal never shares any good tea with me. He knows that it's meaningless to give it to me. Let me tell you, since ancient times, the villagers of Old Banjiang have used traditional methods to artificially maintain the ancient tea trees. They follow the folk customs and manually pick the fresh leaves, Yi Yuan said seriously. It needs to be dried under the sun. Today, Old Banjiang Pu'er tea is one of the few teas that doesn't use inorganic substances such as fertilizers and pesticides. It's absolutely natural and pollution-free. It's absolutely original. You're right about that. After Yi Shui boiled the water, she began to prepare the tea leaves. This Old Banjiang Pu'er tea is strong, rich, mellow, and domineering. It has always been respected as the king of Pu'er tea. See, Yi Shui has good taste. Yi Yuan grinned and said, the tea is domineering. The bitterness melts in the mouth and lasts in the mouth. The fragrance is high and far. When the tea enters the mouth, the strong fragrance runs through the whole body. Speaking up to this point, Yi Yuan felt a sense of elation. The bitterness is as strong as the fragrance. It's domineering and strong. But this bitterness is concentrated on the tongue. After it melts in an instant, it makes the cheeks salivate. It's smooth and sweet. The throat rhythm is different everywhere, Yi Shui said. Tang Yipeng also nodded in agreement. I definitely agree that Yi Shui has good taste. Otherwise, why would the principal give such good tea to her? Since ancient times, a sword is given to a hero, and powder is given to a beauty. The principal gave this Old Banjiang Pu'er tea to Yi Shui, which means that Yi Shui's tea taste is better than anyone else's. Are you saying that I can't? Yi Yuan was stunned. I didn't say that. You said that you can't. Don't blame me, Tang Yipeng said. The water boiled. When Yi Shui was about to brew the Old Banjiang, she looked at Tang Yipeng again. Tang Yipeng then said, it is said that Tuotong is now hiding in Shenzhen. He seems to have received a lot of money and is preparing to release the virus during the Double 13 online shopping festival in Huaxia. At that time, all the people who shop online may be poisoned. Everyone's information will be extracted. The most terrible thing is that the bank information will be extracted. This is very dangerous. It will put hundreds of millions of online users' funds at risk. Yi Shui frowned. Yi Yuan also gnashed his teeth in hatred. This bastard likes to do such disgusting things. This time, Zhu Ming must get rid of this bastard before he releases the virus. Zhu Ming thinks so too, but so far, things don't seem to be going so smoothly. Tang Yipeng shook his head. Tuotong's whereabouts are too strange. He will use the internet to set up a lot of suspicious addresses. So far, Zhu Ming has failed twice. Yi Shui sighed. It is indeed very difficult to find him, but I believe that as long as Zhu Ming finds him, it won't be easy for him to escape. He wants to escape after being caught by Zhu Ming? Do you think Zhu Ming is as useless as me? Yi Yuan said self-deprecatingly. I believe Zhu Ming won't give him a chance to escape. Tang Yipeng also nodded in agreement. You are right. As long as he falls into Zhu Ming's hands, he won't be able to escape. This is 100%. I shouldn't have let you act rashly last time. I know I was wrong. Don't blame me. I regret it. Yuan smiled bitterly. But the most difficult thing for Zhue Ming now is how to find him, right? Tang Yiping nodded. Zhue Ming is also having a headache because of this. If he can be found as soon as possible, this matter would have been solved. How long is it until the Internet Shopping Festival? Yixue asked. Tang Yiping said, it seems to be a week. A week. Yixue's face was a little ugly. How many days has it been since Zhue Ming found this clue? 3 days ago. Tang Yiping was also a little depressed. That's why time is too tight. You know, the last time we learned that Tuatong was in the Tonga area, it took 20 days to lock onto his position. This time, we only have 10 days. 3 days have already passed. There is not much time left for Zhue Ming. Chapter 35-48. When Yuan heard this, the worry on his face deepened. There's still a week left. I'm afraid it's not enough. If we can't find him before then, won't the online shoppers in Huaxia be in danger? Yes, they will definitely be in danger. Tang Yiping nodded. That's why Zhue Ming is also very distressed. Yixue brewed a pot of old banjiang for the two of them. Then why are you still in the mood to drink tea here? There's no other way. The principal said that bastard Tortan is too vigilant. If there are too many people, it's easy for him to notice. And he knows very well that the people from the hunter school want to mess with him. Tang Yiping said. That's why he's very wary of us. If there are too many people, it's easy to alert him. That's why the principal let Zhue Ming act alone. Yixue sighed. If it's too late, I'm afraid this will really be a huge cyber crisis. Now, half of it depends on Zhue Ming, and the other half can only beg the goddess of luck to be on our side. Tang Yiping said helplessly. Although Yixue poured a cup of tea for each of them, Yuan felt that the taste wasn't as good as before. It seemed that this mood would seriously affect the taste buds of those who tasted tea. At least Yuan wasn't in the mood to drink tea right now. It was a waste to drink such a good pot of tea in this mood. At this moment, Yuan even regretted letting Yixue serve them such good tea. But at this time, Yuan felt that he should reassure everyone. It would be a pity if they tasted tea in this mood. Don't worry, I believe Zhue Ming can do it. Yes, you're right. Yixue tried to calm herself down. Zhue Ming has never let us down. I believe in him too. Tang Yiping knew that the two were comforting themselves, but this was not the time to say those disappointing words, right? The three of them drank a pot of old banjiang in a slightly depressed mood. Yixue also asked the two of them, which was rare, do you want to try the Liuan melon slices that my friend brought back for me from the Bat Cave? Normally, Yuan's eyes would have lit up, but now he was not in the mood. Although he was still surprised by Yixue's generosity, he did not show any particular excitement. Bat Cave? What's a melon slice? Tang Yiping, who didn't know anything about tea, once again showed his ignorance. He looked at Yuan with a pleading expression. Yuan was not stingy to improve Tang Yiping's taste. Lu and melon slice is also considered to be one of the best teas. Its production area is very limited. I think it can only be found in parts of Jinzhai County and Huashan County at the northern foot of the Debi Mountains in western Anhui. Do you know the Choshan Cloud Mist tea? That's the predecessor of Liuan melon slices. I don't know. Tang Yiping shook his head. Sigh, it's so hard to talk to you. The tea produced by Chi-Tu Mountain is known as Chi-Tu Mountain's name card. It's the best of the best. Yuan smiled bitterly and shook his head. There is a cave on the cliff on the south side of Chi-Tu Mountain. Because of the large number of bats living there, it is called the Bat Cave. Legend has it that among all the tea produced in the Chi-Tu Mountain, the Bat Cave is the best. Because of the nourishment of bat feces, the tea leaves of the Bat Cave are exceptionally plump, and the taste is the most fragrant and mellow. Tang Yiping was suddenly enlightened. He didn't know much about these tea leaves, but after listening to Yi Yuan, he really felt that it was a lot rarer. I won't drink it today. Yi Yuan shook his head. It would be a waste of good tea leaves if he was in a bad mood. Another day. I'll remember it first. I'll definitely come and try it one day. I won't wait for you if you're late. Yi Shui rolled her eyes at Yi Yuan. What are you thinking? Do you think you can drink my tea whenever you want? Don't be so stingy. It's not easy to get a chance to drink your best tea, and you're not willing to give it up. That's too much, Yi Yuan said. Yi Shui didn't think so. I gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. You can't blame me. Remember to perform well next time. Yi Shui said, maybe I'll invite you to try it when I'm in a good mood. Yi Yuan nodded. Definitely. If you have any orders, just tell me. I'll do anything for a mouthful of the best Liuan melon slices. You'll do anything? That's good. Yi Shui immediately thought of something. I don't need you to do anything too overboard. Bu Fifan has been a bit impatient recently. I don't think it'll be as effective if I talk to him in this situation. Yi Yuan was stunned for a moment, but he immediately understood what Yi Shui meant. I understand. This is not a difficult task for you, so I hope you can do it well. Yi Shui said, even the principal said that if you were born during the war, you would definitely be a political commissar material. That's why I asked you to do this. Il, you don't have to worry about Fifan. Even if you don't let me drink your Liuan melon slices, as long as it's related to him, I'll do my best. Yi Yuan smiled. Right now, he's probably all I can rely on. Speaking of this, Yi Yuan's mood sank a lot. Yi Shui also put away her sarcasm and harshness. She could see how bad Yi Yuan's mood was at this moment. Obviously, Yi Yuan didn't have much hope for his future. That was why he said that Bu Fifan was all he could rely on. For Yi Yuan to say this at this moment, how strong did his heart need to be? At least, Yi Shui felt that she definitely couldn't do it. If it were her, she definitely couldn't do it. It was completely impossible. I really hope that I can still have a chance to continue, but I know my own situation best. Yi Yuan's mouth showed a trace of a very difficult smile. Yi Shui, I'm really begging you. I've never begged you for anything in my life. This is the only time I'm begging you. Yi Shui suddenly glared at Yi Yuan. I don't need you to beg me. You don't need to beg me for this matter. Everything is voluntary. It has nothing to do with you. You don't owe me anything, and you don't need to ask me for anything. Yi Yuan's gratitude towards Yi Shui couldn't be described with words. Well, you two don't need to talk about this. Tang Yiping patted Yi Yuan's shoulder. Crocodile, this is not your style of doing things. You're always a guy full of hope. How could you say something like this? I'm warning you, don't say something like this in the future. It will really make me look down on you. Yi Yuan didn't seem to care at all. If you look down on me, then look down on me. Ha ha ha, anyway, I don't have any big goals now. You have to have goals. Tang Yiping said, if you don't have any goals, what do you want us to do? I believe that Bu Fifan will definitely help me achieve my goals. Yi Yuan took a deep breath. As long as there is that kid, I believe that there is hope for everything. You don't have to worry about me. Even if I can't stand up in this life, I won't easily die. I want to see that kid grow up. Yi Shui looked at Yi Yuan unhappily. That kid is more promising than you. At least when it comes to your matters, he is more confident than you. From this point alone, he is better than you. That's for sure. Don't you know whose student he is? My student is definitely better than me. Yi Yuan laughed to hide the bitterness in his heart. But Bu Fifan, who was outside the door, could clearly hear all the bitterness in his laughter. All of this was really hard for Yi Yuan to accept. But in order for Bu Fifan to persist and see hope, Yi Yuan hid all his bitterness with a smile. Now, when everyone saw Yi Yuan, they only saw a happy him. It was as if he had never experienced this ordeal. How much pain did Yi Yuan have to endure? Bu Fifan didn't even dare to think about it. He was even certain that all the pain Yi Yuan was enduring was something he didn't even dare to think about. Even if it was only 1/10 of the pain Yi Yuan was enduring, he would probably collapse. Of course, this pain wasn't physical pain, but mental and psychological. Mental and psychological pain was the real pain for them. This kind of pain was enough to make anyone collapse. Yes, it was probably a pain that was hard for anyone to bear. At this moment, the people in the room were forcing smiles, while the people outside the room were already holding back tears. Bu Fifan knew that he couldn't cry. Tears couldn't solve any problems. Tears were a coward's way of expressing his incompetence. He wasn't a coward, nor was he an incompetent piece of trash. Bu Fifan told himself over and over again that he was a strong person. Whether it was his heart or his body, he had to be a strong person. Chapter 35-49. The next morning, Yi Shuai did not see Bu Fifan, who used to start his warm-up training earlier than anyone else. At first, she thought Bu Fifan was tired. After all, it was not easy to keep training, not to mention that he had to train more than everyone else. Therefore, Yi Shuai allowed Bu Fifan to be late once in a while. It was not a big problem. However, after 3 hours, Yi Shuai realized that something was not right. She could accept that Bu Fifan would be late for 1 or 2 hours due to tiredness, but 3 hours had passed. Even the laziest student in the hunter school would not dare to joke about 3 hours. When Yi Shuai went to look for Bu Fifan angrily, she realized he was not in his room. Yi Shuai immediately went to Yi Yuan when she could not find him. However, Bu Fifan was not with Yi Yuan either. Yi Shuai started to feel nervous. Yi Shuai had never felt so flustered before. Her sixth sense gave her a very uncomfortable hint. It seemed to mean that something was about to happen, and it was not something that was easy to accept. Where did he go? Yi Yuan looked at Yi Shuai in astonishment. I haven't seen him since 2 days ago. No one in the hunter school knows him better than you. If you don't know where he is, I'm afraid we won't be able to find him, Yi Shuai said with her eyes wide open. Write down all the places he usually goes to. Yi Yuan knew he could not help Yi Shuai look for Bu Fifan because of his limited mobility, so he cooperated and wrote down all the places Bu Fifan could possibly be on a piece of paper. Yi Shuai picked up the piece of paper and left without saying a word. She searched everywhere until the evening, but still didn't get an answer that satisfied her. Bu Fifan had disappeared. He was nowhere to be found on the main island where the hunter school was located, and the surrounding islands. Yi Shuai had used almost everyone she could to find Bu Fifan, but she still could not find him. Just before sunset, someone sent a message saying that they had just discovered that a speedboat on the affiliated island was missing, and 2 barrels of spare fuel were missing. Obviously, someone had driven the speedboat away. Yi Shuai Wanyan rummaged through Bu Fifan's room without saying a word. Sure enough, all of Bu Fifan's documents had been taken away, leaving nothing behind. He drove a speedboat to Hawaii, and Hawaii had one of the busiest airports in the United States, Honolulu International Airport. It was definitely the hub of the Pacific Ocean, and there were flights to almost any major cities in the world. At this moment, Yi Shuai seemed to realize something. She rushed to Tang Yipeng with resentment and asked him, "Did you notice someone behind you when you and Crocodile came to my room yesterday?" Tang Yipeng said helplessly, "This is our hunter school. Who do you think has the guts to follow me in school?" Bu Fifan. Yi Shuai said bluntly. Tang Yipeng was dumbfounded. It wasn't that he hadn't heard about Bu Fifan's disappearance, he was also very surprised. But now that he heard Yi Shuai's words, he immediately thought of a possibility. Moreover, he was sure that this possibility was the same as Yi Shuai's. If he heard our conversation yesterday, what would he do? Yi Shuai said angrily, "If you were more careful, this wouldn't have happened." "That bastard can't really." Tang Yipeng broke out in a cold sweat. If that was really the case, Bu Fifan might be on a flight to Huaxia now. Why would he go back to Huaxia? Needless to say, if Bu Fifan knew that Tuo Tong was in Huaxia, how could he not go? Damn it! Yi Shuai cursed. This matter had caught her completely unprepared. What if that brat really had an accident because of this matter? What should she do? There are direct flights to Huaxia from Hawaii. Tang Yiping said cautiously. Yi Shui glared at him. Do I need you to remind me? Of course. And it will be a very smooth one. Now, any popular tourist city in the world would have flights to China, and all of them were direct flights. Everyone knows that the people in Huaxia are rich. Everyone knows that the rich people in Huaxia like to travel. Tang Yiping was also very helpless about this. I'll go to the principal. Tell the principal that we must respond as soon as possible. Otherwise, if we really let that kid go to Tuotong, he will die. Yi Shui turned and left after she finished speaking. She wanted to tell Yi Yuan about this matter and let Yi Yuan contact Bu Fifan using all kinds of contact methods. Text messages, emails, WeChat, any contact method that could be used to convey information should be used. Bu Fifan should know that his behavior was wrong and not act rashly. Yi Yuan was anxious, but he knew very well why Bu Fifan did this. It was because of what he said yesterday. This made him blame himself. If it wasn't for his pitiful self-esteem that made him say something that he shouldn't have, he believed that Bu Fifan wouldn't have done such an irrational thing. Damn it! Yi Yuan scolded himself more than once. When Tang Yiping went to report this matter to the principal, Yi Shui had already made all the preparations. She couldn't let Bu Fifan go to his death. If Bu Fifan was still Yi Yuan's student, she might not be as anxious as she was now. However, it was different now. Yi Yuan had already handed him over to her. If anything happened to Bu Fifan, no matter what the reason was, Yi Shui wouldn't have the face to answer to Yi Yuan. She didn't care whether Yi Yuan would blame her or not. She only cared about what she thought in her heart. If she couldn't solve this matter as she wanted, then she would regret it for the rest of her life. However, just when Yi Shui was ready, Tang Yiping brought back the order from the ancient magpie world. You don't have to prepare. The principal doesn't allow any of us to go to Huaxia. Tang Yiping seemed very calm when he said this, because if we appear one after another, it is very likely that we will alert the enemy. That will ruin Zhui Ming's hard work for so many days. Is that what the principal said? Yi Shui was especially angry at this moment. She was obviously very dissatisfied with this answer. Tang Yiping nodded. Since the principal said so, he must have his reasons. So, let's just listen to the order. If you want to listen to the order, then listen to it yourself. Yi Shui was angry. You want me to listen to this kind of order at a time like this? Are you kidding me? Haha. I really don't understand. Is it appropriate to order this kind of thing? I want to see the principal. Tang Yiping shook his head helplessly. The principal knew you would have this kind of reaction. He is already waiting for you. You go first. I will bring crocodile to you. Yi Shui turned a deaf ear to Tang Yiping's words and went straight to the ancient magpie world. The ancient magpie world knew everyone's temper and character, so when Yi Shui barged in, he wasn't surprised at all. That was fast. Principal, I only want to know the reason. Why? Yi Shui asked. Are you really going to leave Bu Fifan's life to the side because you are worried about alerting the enemy? What kind of person am I in your eyes? The ancient magpie world said indifferently. I am sorry, Principal. I don't have time to analyze your personality with you. What I need to do now is to ensure Bu Fifan's safety. Yi Shui said, I don't care if we alert the enemy. Although Tuo Tong is a bastard we must catch and kill, missing this opportunity doesn't mean we will miss it in the future. There will always be another opportunity. The ancient magpie world nodded. But Bu Fifan only has one life. If something happens to him, there will be no more chances in this life. Yi Shui glared. The ancient magpie world smiled. Is that why you came to me? Isn't that enough? This is not a small matter, Principal. Yi Shui said, I am not joking with you. I am not here to beg you. I am just here to tell you that I will not listen to your order this time. I will leave now. As for what I will do, that is my business. If you want to punish me, wait until I come back. At this time, Tang Yiping rushed over with Yi Yuan. Yi Shui's questioning and anger made the two of them a little confused. Crocodile. Bu Fifan is your student. Shouldn't you say something? Yi Shui turned and saw the two of them and asked Yi Yuan directly. Chapter 35-50. Yi Yuan didn't hear the conversation between the two. He saw that Yi Shui was a little irrational, so he comforted her. The headmaster has his reasons for doing things. We should at least listen to why he made such a decision. Do we need to listen? Yi Shui stared at Yi Yuan in surprise. Because he doesn't want us to alert him. But I believe that this is only on the surface. Any decision made by the headmaster must be carefully considered. I believe the headmaster wouldn't make such a hasty decision. Yi Yuan said. If the headmaster didn't consider Bu Fifan's situation, then he wouldn't be the headmaster. Yi Yuan's words were actually quite stressful for Gu Magpie World. At this time, Yi Yuan was much calmer than Yi Shui. His thoughts were the same as Yi Shui's. He wanted a good explanation for this matter. If the ancient Magpie realm couldn't give him a reasonable explanation, then he would support Yi Shui's approach. But now, Yi Yuan expressed his opinion. He believed that Gu Magpie World had his own considerations and plans. If this consideration could convince them, he would naturally stand on Gu Magpie World's side and help the headmaster appease Yi Shui. If Gu Magpie World didn't consider Bu Fifan's safety, Yi Yuan could also stand on Yi Shui's side at any time. Gu Magpie Realm smiled faintly. This was indeed the Yi Yuan he trusted. He was always so thorough in his considerations, and his words were also so flawless. Crocodile is right. You should listen to my opinion. Gu Magpie World naturally had his own considerations. He felt that he was worthy of all of them. Eel, if you can calm down, then I'll tell you my thoughts. Yi Shui took a deep breath and calmed herself down as much as possible. After she calmed down, Gu Magpie World slowly said, Let me ask you, if Bu Fifan goes to Huaxia, will he be alone? Yi Shui was stunned. Isn't he? Who else will go with him? Of course he will go alone. What I mean is, will he be alone after going to Huaxia? Gu Magpie World smiled. We all know about his background. Did you forget that he has a godfather? Yi Shui was stunned. This was indeed something she had not considered at all. Principal, are you talking about Su Yun? Yi Yuan's expression showed a hint of surprise. That child, Fifan, will look for Su Yun when he returns? Of course, that's the most powerful help he can get in Huaxia. Ancient Magpie World said, Lone Wolf told me just now. This child might have overheard your conversation yesterday, so he chose to sneak away. Yi Yuan nodded. Definitely. Because he knows none of us will agree to let him go to Huaxia. Yes, you won't agree to let him go to Huaxia, but he has great confidence that he can help Zhue Ming after going to Huaxia. Gu Magpie Jie said, because he also heard you say that time is running out. Something will happen in just a few days, and once something happens, there is no way to make up for it. The three of them did not speak. This was indeed a very worrying matter. We do have confidence in Zhue Ming, but how much confidence? Gu Magpie World sighed. Last time, Tuo Tong appeared in the Tonga area. How long did it take for us to determine his location? I don't think I need to say this again, right? And this time, we only have 10 days. Zhue Ming is under a lot of pressure. I'm afraid the success rate is at most 50%. I'm not the only one who knows this. You all know this. Principal, are you saying that Bu Fifan is 100% confident that he can find Tuo Tong? Yi Shui asked. Gu Magpie World nodded. Of course he is. Why? Yi Yuan asked. Where does his confidence come from? Because he knows that as long as he goes to Huaxia to find Su Yun, he can find his good friend through Su Yun, who is also his master in the field of network and military weapons. Kevin Matthew? The three of them said almost in unison. Gu Magpie World smiled. Yes, it's Matthew. Everyone knows that Matthew is a weapon genius. But everyone ignores that he's also a once-in-a-century cyber genius. It's just that his talent in weapons has covered his brilliance in the field of network. Yi Yuan was instantly excited. Matthew chose Hua Xia to return to his homeland to serve, Gu Magpie World said. Gu Magpie Jie said, people like him can't be contacted by the outside world. Only people with special identities in the special department can contact him. Coincidentally, Su Yun is a person with such a special identity. Moreover, he is someone who Bu Fifan can contact. But I've checked Bu Fifan's correspondence. He hasn't contacted anyone in Hua Xia at all. Tang Yiping was a little puzzled. Gu Magpie World laughed even more happily. This shows that he's a smart kid. He knows very well that once he contacts someone, we'll find out immediately. So, he won't contact anyone. He just needs to return to Hua Xia and find someone who can also contact Su Yun. Then, the matter will be solved. Is it that woman in Shenzhen? Yi Shui asked faintly. At this time, she had calmed down a lot. The most reassuring thing for Yi Shui was that Su Yun was from Hua Xia. If Bu Fifan could get his help and protection after going there, then what was there to worry about? In terms of strength, Yi Shui didn't doubt Su Yun at all. Even the principal admitted that he might not be a match for this kid from the Su family. After all, he was Su Chen's son. If I didn't believe in Bu Fifan, I would have ordered you to go after him. Gu Magpie World finally said, I don't want you to go because I believe that since he's there, he won't ruin things. Instead, he'll make progress. Consider it as insurance for Zhue Ming's mission this time. Once you go, I'm afraid that things will become chaotic and it's very likely that you'll ruin the entire plan. Now, do you understand what I mean? Hearing this, Yi Shui lowered her head in shame. She was indeed a little impulsive just now. Principal, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you, Yi Shui apologized. Gu Magpie World shook his head. It's nothing. If I were you, I would have the same suspicion and impulse. This is a very normal reaction. If I could think more thoroughly, I wouldn't have bothered you, Yi Shui lowered her head and said. At that moment, Yi Yuan felt a lot more relieved. He joked, if you could consider things so thoroughly, you would be the principal. You should know and understand yourself. After all, your ability is only so high. No one will blame you for not considering things thoroughly. Yi Shui glared at Yi Yuan. So you're saying that your ability is very high? Then why didn't you analyze it for me when I went to find you? If you can analyze the reason behind this for me, would I still need to disturb the headmaster? Yi Yuan was speechless. He shook his head and said, I'm too lazy to argue with you. At least I'm sure that the principal has his own considerations. Unlike you, you don't use your brain at all. All right, stop arguing, Gu Magpie World said. Bu Fifan is the most important student you have recently. Of course, I think highly of him too. So, I won't let him do something that he's not confident in. If he's going to die, he'll be detained by Zhue Ming the moment he arrives at Hua Xia. Tang Yiping said in hindsight, I told you that you were worrying for nothing. Don't say it like you've seen through everything. Aren't you worried about us too? Yi Yuan was speechless. All right, since this is a good thing, shouldn't we drink some good tea to celebrate? Yi Shui glanced at Yi Yuan and didn't say anything. Tang Yiping, who was not interested in tea, naturally ignored him. Gu Magpie World coughed softly. Then go do whatever you want. Don't. Principal. You gave Yi Shui a biscuit. Yi Yuan said. Today's matter is so big that our hearts are in our throats. You have to brew us a pot of good tea to calm us down. Gu Magpie World had no choice but to smile bitterly. Then tell me what you want to drink. Then I won't be polite. Yi Yuan was in a good mood. He believed that drinking tea with this kind of mood would be much better than yesterday. After all, that bastard Tuotong was facing the threat of being attacked from both sides. If he dared to cause trouble at Hua Xia, he wouldn't be able to escape. Chapter 3551. Bu Fifan, who was sitting on the flight to Huaxia, was very calm at the moment. He didn't sleep last night, so he knew very well what he was going to do on this trip to Huaxia. Bu Fifan believed that he wouldn't disappoint Yi Yuan. Since Yi Yuan wanted that bastard Tuotong to die in the hands of his student, then he would help Yi Yuan fulfill his dream. Of course, he wasn't going to fight with Zhu Ming for any credit. After Bu Fifan heard that there were only 7 days left, he realized the seriousness of the situation. Zhu Ming wasn't 100% confident in this mission either. Because of this, Bu Fifan didn't hesitate to do what he was doing. He started the mission early in the morning. He stuffed all the documents and things he needed into a waterproof backpack and jumped into the sea without hesitation. He swam to the nearby island where the speedboat was parked. Originally, Bu Fifan planned to knock out the night watchman, but the night watchman turned out to be the most unreliable drunkard in the entire school. Bu Fifan's appearance didn't disturb the drunkard at all. Taking advantage of the night, Bu Fifan carefully stole the cheapest speedboat. Just in case, he even moved 2 barrels of fuel before starting the speedboat and leaving. Even such a big movement didn't wake the drunkard up. Therefore, Bu Fifan decided that after this incident, even if the principal wanted to punish him severely, he would tell the principal that he couldn't let the drunkard be the night watchman in the future. It was as if he didn't exist. He couldn't play any role as a guard. Of course, this was all for later. Right now, there was only one thing in Bu Fifan's mind. He wanted to see the changes in Shenjiang and Yi Fala's situation. He wanted to get in touch with Su Yun as soon as possible and have Su Yun arrange for Matthew to help him find Yi Fala. Tuotong, that bastard, was a waste of time in this society. Bu Fifan waited until he arrived in Hawaii before changing into the clothes and shoes in the waterproof backpack. He used his fastest time to buy a flight ticket to Shenjiang at around 10 in the morning. A direct flight would save a lot of time. Even so, Bu Fifan still needed to spend 12 hours on the plane. If the time difference was factored in, Bu Fifan would arrive in Shenjiang at 4 p.m. In this way, the remaining 7 days would be reduced by 1 day. Every time Bu Fifan thought of this, he couldn't help but punch his own fist. Long-distance flights always made people feel uncomfortable, and he was sure that the whole school was looking for him. God knows how everyone would react. When Bu Fifan thought of Yi Yuan's worry and Yi Shui's rage, he felt uneasy. He couldn't stop himself from thinking about these things. After all, the flight time was really too long. It would be great if those super airplanes that could reach tens of thousands of kilometers per hour could be used for civil aviation. It would save almost 10 times the time compared to now. Unfortunately, it was unlikely to happen in the next 8 to 10 years. Bu Fifan still had his hopes. Perhaps this kind of plane was unrealistic now, but it would really exist in 20 or 30 years. It was just like how no one dared to believe that a high-speed railway could run at a speed of 300 kilometers per hour on the ground 30 years ago. In the office of the ancient magpie world, Bu Fifan sent away the 3 guys who wasted his 2 pots of good tea, but another person came in. Gong Wangfei was the drunkard on the island yesterday. Last night, Bu Fifan escaped from under his nose. When Gong Wangfei met with Yi Shui and the others, Yi Shui asked him, "What do you use to block your ears when you sleep?" "Yes." Gong Wangfei replied to Yi Shui without hesitation, "I like to use alcohol to block my ears. That way, I won't be able to hear the annoying sound of waves hitting the beach all night long." Yi Shui was actually speechless. Gong Wangfei's answer made her completely speechless. She didn't know what else she could say that would make him feel ashamed. "We all know that you like to drink, and no one has ever interfered with your little hobby." Yi Yuan sighed. "But yesterday, you were a responsible night watcher. How could you get drunk when you're an island watcher? Isn't that a bit irresponsible?" Gong Wangfei still looked at them with an indifferent expression. "Well, whatever you say." If it weren't for the fact that the ancient magpie world treated him differently from others, Yi Shui really wanted to teach this irresponsible bastard a lesson. If it weren't for this drunkard, they wouldn't have wasted so much time to find out that the speedboat was stolen. If this guy had even a little bit of responsibility, they wouldn't have worried about Bu Fifan. "I really want to know why a person like you still has the face to stay in this school." Yi Shui left after saying that. Tang Yiping glanced at Gong Wangfei. He didn't say anything and quickly left with Yi Yuan. None of them could figure out why this guy still had the face to see the principal at this time. Was it just because the principal was more lenient with him than the others? In other words, the principal didn't even have the basic prestige in front of him. These were all guesses, but they still believed that this guy didn't dare to disobey the rules in front of the principal. However, a drunkard was still a drunkard. Even when he came to the ancient Magpie World's office, he still had that carefree look on his face. He sat on the sofa of the ancient Magpie World's office, picked up the hot water, and brewed the tea they just drank. "Why did you choose to let him go?" Gu Magpie World asked faintly. "And you chose to keep quiet. And you only sent out the news that the speedboat was stolen after such a long time." "I'm a drunkard who drinks like my life. Obviously, I did such an unreliable thing because I was drunk." Gong Wangfei smiled faintly. "Of course. You don't think I let him go when I heard that he stole the speedboat, do you?" Gu Magpie World smiled bitterly. "You know, your acting has never been particularly good." "Of course, I'm not a top student from a famous drama school." Gong Wangfei continued to drink the tea. "There's still some flavor. Wouldn't it be a waste if you don't drink it? If you give me a bottle of Louis XIII, I'll definitely rinse the bottle with water after drinking it." "Forget it. Others don't understand you, but do you think I don't?" Gu Magpie World exposed him without any hesitation. "If one day you really get drunk and someone steals something from under your nose, do you think I'll still assign you to the night watchman mission?" Gong Wangfei laughed a few times. "If you really don't assign me like this, I'll be very, very grateful." "Cut the crap." Gu Magpie World shook his head. "If you don't want to say something meaningful to me, then you can leave." "Yes, your time is so precious. I'll leave you alone." Gong Wangfei put down the teapot, stood up, and said to Gu Magpie World, "Since you said so, then I'll tell you." "As you wish. I'm doing this because I know you. If it were you, you would also let him go." Gu Magpie World was stunned. Gong Wangfei's lips curved into a smile. "In fact, you know very well that Zhui Ming isn't the best way to deal with Tuo Tong in Huaxia. If you ask Su Ming, who's also in Huaxia, to help, it'll be a lot easier. But you won't take the initiative to go because of your face." Gu Magpie World fell silent. Of course, Bu Fifen's actions are completely unexpected. You didn't expect him to do something so radical. Gong Wangfei said indifferently, "But if you think about it now, Bu Fifen won't mess things up. In fact, it's a good thing. Am I right?" Gong Wangfei saw that Gu Magpie World didn't answer, so he continued, "That's why I said that even if you were the night watchman yesterday, you would still turn a blind eye to that kid's escape. Am I right? You're the one who knows me the best in the Hunter Academy." Gu Magpie World smiled wryly. "To be honest, I've always hoped that this person wouldn't be you in the future. It's a pity that after so many years, you're still the one who knows me the best." "Yes, I'm tired too. When someone who knows you better than I do comes along, I'll go and be a useless drunkard. That's my ultimate dream and pursuit." Gong Wangfei laughed and turned to leave. He waved his hand as if to tell Gu Magpie World that he didn't need to see him off. Chapter 3552. With a roar, the plane finally landed in Shenzhen. Because he didn't sleep well last night, Bu Fifen fell asleep halfway through the flight. He stretched himself and felt that he was full of energy again. After getting off the plane, Bu Fifen quickly called for a taxi and rushed to Xinkai Hotel without stopping. If there was no traffic jam on the road, he would be able to make it in time for dinner. He believed that he could definitely give Yi Fala a surprise. At this moment, Yi Fala had already booked a restaurant. She knew that Su Yun didn't like those complicated meals. It just so happened that the simplest hot pot was Su Yun's favorite. Moreover, the weather was really suitable for a few friends to sit together and chat. It would drive away the cold and warm up the body. Of course, hot pot was also divided into different grades. Some places' hot pots gave people a completely different feeling when eating. Especially for such a mass consumption item, once it was made to be very high class, the effect would be even more different. For example, Yi Fala booked the Hall of Supreme Harmony today. Eating hot pot in this hot pot restaurant definitely wouldn't give off the feeling of a roadside restaurant. This was the golden road to the Bund. Sitting on the 5th floor, one could directly see the bright lights of Lujiazui. The rippling Huangpu River reflected the special night of Shenzhen. It was full of class. Of course, for such a high-class hot pot restaurant, the price naturally wasn't cheap. When Su Yun and Cho Yun were brought here by Yi Fala, Blackhead encountered a little trouble. After all, this was a high-class place. If they brought a dog in, it would be easy for people to complain. After all, the people who were willing to spend a lot of money to eat hot pot here were people with some status. However, this matter was easily resolved by Yi Fala. Who would dare to say no when she called the owner of this hot pot restaurant? Su Yun entered and saw the place and knew that it wasn't cheap. This is too particular. I really didn't know that Shenzhen had such a good place. The owner has royal blood. When he was young, he heard his mother talk about the eating habits of his ancestors in the palace. Therefore, he has a deep understanding and research of hot pot cuisine. From the types of hot pot ingredients, how to cook them in sections, the order of tasting the food, and the combination of the dipping ingredients in food, he has very deep and unique insights. Yi Fala smiled. Isn't it to your liking? That's a must. The three of them and the dog chatted as they arrived at the private room. Yi Fala's evaluation of this place had always been very high. If she wanted to eat hot pot, she would only come to this restaurant. The ingredients in the Hall of Supreme Harmony emphasize uniqueness. The strips of tofu skin don't need to be fried. Instead, they are dried, and they pay particular attention to health. The shrimp pulp is to not destroy the freshness of the shrimp and to emphasize the taste of the food. Therefore, the guests are allowed to cook the shrimp balls themselves. The degree of spiciness here is really spicy. It's very satisfying. Yi Fala smiled. Once the pot was set and the meat dishes were served, Yi Fala began to chat. These are all authentic and specially made spicy condiments. The duck blood in the spicy pot is fresh and springy, the white soup is delicious, and the tofu is as tender as jade. Yi Fala said, "This meat is top-grade snowflake beef. The fat ratio is just right, and the ingredients are definitely fresh." People who like to eat hot pot knew that the freshness of the meat would seriously affect the taste. Freshly slaughtered beef and mutton would be very tender after being frozen and sliced on the same day. If it was frozen in the cold storage for a few months, the taste would be a little dry. We still have a lot in common when it comes to food. Su Yun laughed. Then you can stay in Shenzhen for a few more days. I'll take you to eat all the hot pot in Shenzhen, Yi Fala said. The Hall of Supreme Harmony is my favorite hot pot restaurant. The Bungalow Hot Pot in Xintiandi Center and the Jiue Hot Pot on Huaihai Road are all good. Su Yun pretended to think. This is really a good suggestion. Unfortunately, I've been out for a few days and I still have to go back and settle down Blackhead. Isn't it good to let him stay in Shenzhen? Yi Fala lowered her head and glanced at Blackhead. Do you want to stay in Shenzhen? There's a very large dog farm here with all kinds of precious breeds. Also, I'm a person with a high status in Shenzhen. It's easy to find a pure-blooded girlfriend for you. Hearing Yi Fala bribing Blackhead, Cho Yun couldn't help but laugh. Blackhead didn't know anything. He had never seen a female dog since he was young. He grew up with a group of men. Blackhead isn't a competition dog, nor is it from a prestigious family. It only needs one thing for it to find a girlfriend. The two dogs must like each other, have compatible personalities, and be able to chat happily together. That's enough. Su Yun, he doesn't care about material things, and he doesn't care if he has to leave something for his next generation to show off. Why do I feel like you're scolding some upper-class families? Yi Fala couldn't help but laugh. You're still the same. You say whatever's on your mind. You don't know how to restrain yourself at all. What's there to restrain myself about? Su Yun smiled. Whoever wants to take it to heart can take it to heart. Cho Yun reminded him. This kind of high-end place isn't for ordinary people. If someone really hears it and takes it to heart, it won't be good. Who am I afraid of? Soo-yoon laughed and joked. Then he looked at Blackhead and said, "What do you think, Blackhead? Do you want to stay here and let your sister Yi find a girlfriend for you?" Blackhead didn't hesitate to sit closer to Soo-yoon. Yi-fala rolled her eyes. "Hey too, you've really wasted my efforts. I've already arranged for people to buy you the best Kobe beef. That's something that many Japanese can't afford even if they want to." Blackhead didn't move at all. Soo-yoon patted Blackhead's head. "My Blackhead would rather eat steamed buns with me." Blackhead cooperated and barked. "Okay, I admit. You guys are closer." Yi-fara smiled bitterly. At this time, she received a call from the company. She nodded and excused herself before picking up the phone. "Director Yi, someone is looking for you." It was the secretary on duty. "He asked me where you were and said it was very urgent. But I told him to contact you directly, but he refused and insisted that I contact you." "Let him answer the phone," Yi-fara said. He didn't answer. The secretary said helplessly. He even waved his hand. "He said that he must let me ask where you are and then he will go to find you. Otherwise, he won't leave." Yi-fara was stunned. Who was this? What does he look like? He looks like... Okay. I won't say. The secretary seemed to have been threatened. "Director Yi, I beg you. Just tell me where you are." "He won't let me say anything." "Your mouth is on you. You can't do anything if he doesn't let you do it?" Yi-fara was a little angry. "Then tell him that I'm eating hot pot at Hall of Supreme Harmony. Tell him to come to the room with the best view on the 5th floor to find me." With that, Yi-fara hung up the phone. Soo-yoon casually asked, "Who is it?" "I don't know. He must be crazy." Yi-fara shook her head. "He refused to say even when I asked. He insisted that my secretary tell him where I am. Who knows what he's doing?" "Then you just told him." Soo-yoon was speechless. What if it's someone with ulterior motives? What if it's someone who wants to harm you? Yi-fara said indifferently, "Don't I have you? Even if someone wants to harm me, they have to go through you first. If I'm scared when you're by my side, then if you're not by my side in the future, I won't be able to deal with this kind of thing." "Forget it." "Then let him come." Soo-yoon, "But what if it's an admirer of yours? Let him stay and eat with us? Or chase him out. If he really has the face to stay and eat with us, then I'll really admire him." Yi-fara smiled bitterly. Soo-yoon touched his chin. "That's right. That's indeed the case. I don't think most people are so thick-skinned. But if there really is, then don't chase him out. Let him stay. Maybe he'll even pay the bill. Do you think I'm someone who lacks this bit of money?" Yi-fara was really helpless. "Soo-yoon, no matter what, you're still the CEO of Sky Entertainment Group. Also, you have so many shares in Shinkai Hotel. You don't care about 2,000 or 3,000 yuan for a meal, right?" Soo-yoon said without hesitation, "Of course I care." Yi-fara looked at Soo-yoon, puzzled. "Why?" "How much do you earn every year? You still care about this? Isn't this a bit illogical?" Chapter 3553. Soo-yoon shook his head. "I don't care how much I earn every year. No matter how much I earn every year, a few thousand yuan is still something I care about. Maybe a few dozen yuan or a few hundred yuan won't do anything big, but a few thousand yuan is different." Yi-fala didn't understand. "What's the difference to you? You don't care about tens of thousands of yuan." "That's not what I meant. I really don't care." "Soo-yoon, but a few thousand yuan is enough for a child left behind in a poor mountainous area to spend for a whole year, including school fees, food, accommodation, and daily necessities. So I care." Yi-fala didn't say anything. She knew that Su Yun was such a person. Ha ha ha, maybe I'm thinking too much. Su Yun, it's just a sudden thought, don't mind it. Now that you mention it, this might be the last time I come to the Hall of Supreme Harmony to eat hot pot. Yi Fala didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In the future, I'm going to be frugal and give all the money I earn to charity. Maybe I can make up for the bad things I did before. After I die, I won't have to go to the 18th level of hell anymore. Anyway, I don't have any children. Fei Fan doesn't need me to leave any inheritance for him, right? Ha ha ha. Don't be so radical. Su Yun hurriedly said, that's a bit too much. Everyone has the right to pursue their own life. My so-called charity is to do it when you have the ability in all aspects. It's not to do it with everything you have. Of course, there are also people like that. Those people are also very noble. Yi Fala smiled. Actually, this hot pot is the same wherever you go. If you spend a few hundred yuan at home, you might be able to eat more than here. Su Yun nodded. He didn't deny this point. He liked to eat hot pot, but he didn't like to eat this kind of high-class hot pot. He could eat very happily in those ordinary chain stores. Why should he spend at a place where the average person was 700, 800, or even 1,000 yuan? The boss who could open such a high-class place definitely wasn't someone who lacked money. Rather than letting them earn money, why not do some charity and accumulate some virtue? If someone really doesn't know what's going on, then this meal will be his treat. Yi Fala stuck out her tongue. The three of them started their dinner amidst laughter and chatter. Thinking that Su Yun would return to Qingdao after this meal, Yi Fala felt a little disappointed. She really wished that she wasn't imprisoned in Shenzhen. If it weren't for this matter, she would have just handed the hotel over to a professional manager and left. She would have been happy to go to Sky Entertainment Group as a clerk. Of course, if such an experienced manager like her went to Sky Entertainment Group, Su Yun would definitely not let her be a mere clerk. Even Zhua Meiyan would definitely put her in an important position. She was quite confident about this. When they were eating, they didn't expect that the guy who came to pay the bill would be Bu Fifan. Half an hour after Yi Fala received the call, there was a knock on the door. A low voice asked, "Is Miss Yi Fala in this room?" "I'm the one who went to the hotel to look for you." The three of them froze. Yi Fala's expression indicated that she had never heard this voice before. It was not familiar at all. "Yes, it's me," Yi Fala said generously, "although I don't know why you're looking for me. I'm eating with two friends right now, so I don't have time to listen to what you want to say. If you don't mind, then wait for me at the door. When I'm done here, I'll listen to what you have to say." "Okay." Bu Fifan tried to make his voice as low as possible so that Yi Fala couldn't recognize him at all. Bu Fifan didn't know who else was in the room other than Yi Fala because he came here in a hurry and didn't see his godfather's car parked downstairs. At this moment, Bu Fifan thought that Yi Fala was really talking to a friend or business partner. That was why he chose not to disturb her. However, at this moment, Su Yun's voice came from the room. "Isn't it a bit bad to let people wait outside like this?" "There's nothing bad about it," Yi Fala said. "If it's someone who really has something important to do, they will definitely make an appointment with me in advance. People who suddenly want to see me are usually people who don't care about their own matters. Then why should I care about their matters? Don't you think so?" "What do you mean right? What do you mean right?" Bu Fifan said in his heart, "If I made an appointment, would you still be surprised like this?" Because he heard Su Yun's voice, Bu Fifan's mood instantly became excited. He really didn't expect Su Yun to be in Shenzhen. This saved him a lot of trouble. "Ha ha ha, God is really too kind to me," Bu Fifan shouted in his heart. "This gentleman is still reasonable. He knows that it's impolite to refuse a guest outside the door." Bu Fifan decided to mess with them. Anyway, they didn't expect him to appear here at all, so he would continue to tease them. Su Yun smiled bitterly when he heard this and thought, "I want you to pay the bill. Do you really think I want to invite you in to eat a plate of beef that costs 1 or 200 yuan? Dream on." Yi Fala was also helpless. He didn't expect there to be such a shameless person in this world. "I'm quite impolite, But is it polite to barge in without an appointment? Some things can't be made in advance. Bu Fifan resisted the strong urge to laugh in his heart and continued, because some things happen too suddenly, even the person involved won't be able to react in time. Although there was a door between them, there was always someone talking to you outside the door. It would still affect your mood to eat. Even I didn't expect that I would be standing in front of your dining room like this morning. How could I make a reservation? Bu Fifan spouted nonsense with a serious look. Yifala was convinced. Okay. You're right. But you still have to wait. I didn't invite you to my meal. Interrupting a meal is very impolite. I hope you can pay attention to it. Okay, I'll pay attention. Bu Fifan purposely angered Yifala. I'll talk through the door. I definitely won't push the door open. What I mean is, can you stop talking? Yifala was a little speechless. I really have to hand it to you. You're too patient. I still have at least 2 hours to finish my meal. If you're willing to wait, then wait. Bu Fifan nodded without hesitation. It's okay. I can wait even if it's 3 hours. But I'm a little hungry. I haven't eaten for a day. Also, because of the time difference, I'm even hungrier. If I order something to eat alone, can I put it on Miss Ye's tab and you can pay for me? The three of them were completely speechless. They had seen shameless people before, but no one had seen such a shameless person. Wasn't this too shameless? Do you want me to ask the restaurant security to escort you out? Yifala didn't have the patience to waste time on a lunatic. If you don't want to, then leave within 3 minutes. I won't leave. Bu Fifan was shameless. What can you do to me? Yifala had a short temper. She slammed the table. This bastard was too funny. She had already said so much, but this guy still dared to say such shameless words. It seemed that she had to teach him a lesson. Is it appropriate for you to slam the table like this in front of Mr. Su? Bu Fifan was careless and said the wrong thing. He regretted it as soon as he said it. Because he said Su Yun's surname, the people inside would be suspicious. Su Yun reacted quickly. He immediately stood up. Do you know me? If the person outside the door wanted to run, Su Yun would definitely open the door and hold him down. However, there were no footsteps outside the door. Su Yun's reaction seemed to be a little too nervous. I was just guessing. Whether it's Mr. Wang or Mr. Zhao. I just said it casually. Bu Fifan sighed. This was a little bad. Why don't you say you're Mr. Li? You ordered so much beef noodles. Even if you said it casually, you should say Mr. Li. Cho Yun suddenly stepped forward and opened the door. Bu Fifan stood at the door with a confused face. His mouth opened into a huge silly smile. Chapter 35-54. Su Yunjin wondered if she was hallucinating. This was really strange. For the past 2 days, Yifala had been saying that she missed Bu Fifan, and Bu Fifan, that bastard, actually appeared. Yifala didn't say anything for a long time. She really couldn't react. This was really unbelievable to her. Yifala even thought that she was hallucinating. She would mistake anyone as Bu Fifan. However, the bastard at the door said softly, Mother Yi, I'm back to see you. Yifala couldn't resist the way he addressed her. Tears instantly flowed out of her eyes. She felt really bad. Although she had a lot of things to say, she couldn't say anything at this moment. To her, this was a great favor from the heavens. Yifala looked at Su Yun in disbelief. She seemed to be asking Su Yun if this was arranged by him. Was this a surprise he wanted to give her? However, Su Yun could only shrug his shoulders helplessly. He also didn't expect Bu Fifan to come back. Moreover, he didn't have any contact with Bu Fifan at all. He didn't even inform Bu Fifan in advance before suddenly coming back. He definitely wanted to give Yifala a surprise. Godfather is here too. Bu Fifan scratched his head and looked at Su Yun. That really saved me the time to look for you. He. come in and take a seat. What are you waiting for? You haven't eaten for a day? I didn't give you a packed lunch on the plane. Su Yun invited Bu Fifan to come in and eat. Cho Yun immediately prepared a set of cutlery for him. This is your Auntie Cho Yun. Call her Auntie. Yi Fala pointed at Cho Yun and said to Bu Fifan. Bu Fifan felt a little awkward. After all, he had grown up too much in the Hunter Academy. He always felt that he was already an adult. Facing Cho Yun, who was at most 10 years older than him, he felt a little embarrassed to call her senior. I think I'll call her big sister. Bu Fifan sat down and giggled. Hello, big sister Cho Yun. I also think it's more appropriate for you to call me big sister. Cho Yun smiled. She didn't mind Bu Fifan calling her junior. Cho Yun didn't care. Let's eat first. Bu Fifan nodded. Yi Fala placed large pieces of meat into Bu Fifan's bowl and pressed the service bell to summon the waiter. They ordered 4 plates of beef and mutton, as well as abalone, sea cucumber, and shrimp sauce. Mother Yi, there's still so much left. If you order too much, I won't be able to finish it. It'll be a waste. Bu Fifan hurriedly said to the waiter, cut the beef and mutton in half. Why can't you eat? You're still growing. You have to eat even if you can't. Yi Fala looked at Bu Fifan lovingly. He waved his hand to signal the waiter not to listen to him and to do as he wished. The waiter immediately turned around and left. Those in the service industry had to be observant. They knew who was paying and who was paying, so they had to listen to them. Why did you suddenly come back? After Bu Fifan arrived, Yi Fala seemed to have completely forgotten about him. He kept giving Bu Fifan things. You're on vacation? Or did you graduate? Does that mean you don't have to go back anymore? When he asked the last question, Yi Fala couldn't help but get excited. Bu Fifan also gave Yi Fala food. Don't just focus on me. You eat too. Kid, answer the question directly, Yi Fala said. Bu Fifan purposely avoided the topic just now because he didn't want to disappoint Yi Fala. However, since Yi Fala insisted on asking, he had to say it. No. I'm not on vacation, and I haven't graduated. It's impossible for me to stay here and not go back. I came back for a mission this time. After it's over, I'll go back. Yi Fala immediately widened his eyes. How old are you? They're letting you do a mission alone now? Isn't this a bit too inhumane? Yi Fala couldn't help but feel sorry for Bu Fifan when he thought about how a kid at his age was still in high school. If this kid didn't go to that hunter school and studied properly for 2 years, he could get into Fudan University or something. He could find an outstanding girlfriend and stay by his side to help him manage the hotel business. How good would that be? Yi Fala felt extremely happy when she thought about this. However, she also knew that everything she hoped for was not the life Bu Fifan wanted. If she forced Bu Fifan to live like this, Bu Fifan wouldn't be happy. However, what Bu Fifan was doing right now made Yi Fala very worried. Su Yun, are you close with their principal? Go and talk to him. He's still young. We can't let him do missions alone in the future. That's too dangerous. If a kid wants to go on a mission, he should at least follow an instructor, right? Yi Fala was a bit anxious. Su Yun smiled bitterly. I only know him. We're not close. He might not listen to me even if I tell him. Then ask your connections to pass the message. We can't really let him do something so dangerous for Fifan, Yi Fala said helplessly. Bu Fifan smiled bitterly. Mother Yi, I haven't told you why I came back. How do you know that my mission is dangerous? Because in her eyes, even if your hunter school asked you to come to Yanjing to buy a roast duck, it's still a dangerous mission. Su Yun laughed. He could tell that Yi Fala was a bit too nervous, so he joked to ease the tension. Sure enough, after Su Yun's joke, Yi Fala's mood relaxed a lot. She was indeed too sensitive just now. She didn't even know what kind of mission it was, and she thought that things were very dangerous. She was indeed a little too impatient. It's not something dangerous for you to come here alone, right? Yi Fala asked after calming down. Bu Fifan didn't want Yi Fala to worry, so he nodded. It's not something dangerous. It's just a small matter. Also, my godfather is here too. I can ask him to help me a little, so it won't be difficult, right? Yi Fala was completely relieved when she heard this. Su Yun shook his head. You solve your own problem. Don't expect me to help you. I'll say this first. I'm going back to Qingdao after dinner. I can't help you with anything. Don't count on me. Huh? You're leaving today? Bu Fifan was a bit surprised. I just came back. Can't you stay for one more day because of me? Also, I really need your help with something. I'm not helping. Su Yun shook his head. He didn't want Bu Fifan to have such a bad habit. It wasn't good for his growth if he always thought that he had someone backing him. However, Yi Fala didn't care so much. At this moment, she had already forgotten the ancient saying, a loving mother will spoil her son. She hadn't seen Bu Fifan for a long time, so she chose to unconditionally spoil this poor child. Su Yun, can you not be so stingy? No matter what, the child calls you godfather. Yi Fala was a bit angry. What's wrong with asking you to help me? If you don't help me, I'll really be angry. Su Yun smiled bitterly. A loving mother will spoil her son. I don't care so much. Yi Fala said. I just want to spend a few more days with Fifan. If you can do so many things for others, why can't you do something for Fifan? I don't care. Help him with his mission. I want him to stay with me for a few days. Sigh. Su Yun shook his head helplessly and sighed. Mother Yi, what are you talking about? How can I leave my task to Godfather and just stand by and watch? Bu Fifan also refused to do so. Su Yun saw that this brat was still sensible and felt a little comforted in his heart. If Bu Fifan was really like Yi Fala and wanted to push his matter to others, Su Yun would definitely teach him a lesson. Su Yun knew Gu Magpie Jie's ability and intelligence. As the headmaster of the Hunter Academy, Gu Magpie Jie wouldn't make a stupid decision. Therefore, Su Yun was 100% sure that the mission given to Bu Fifan by the Hunter Academy was within his ability. If Bu Fifan didn't do something that was within his ability, it wouldn't make sense. It's his fault for taking you as his godson. Look at other godfathers. How do they treat their children? Yi Fala wanted to spoil Bu Fifan. I don't care. If he doesn't care about your mission, don't call him anymore. What's the point of taking him as your godfather? Mother Yi, you can't do this. Bu Fifan said seriously. I'm not a kid anymore. I've grown up. Look carefully. I'm no longer the Xiao Fan in your eyes. I can solve a lot of things myself. I can't solve the problem that I want Godfather to help me with. Chapter 35:55. When Su Yun heard this, he said calmly, What is it that you can't solve? Tell me. If it's really something you can't do, as your godfather, I can't just stand by and watch. At least you have a conscience. Yi Fala rolled his eyes at Su Yun. You should have said that earlier. I thought you were going to ignore Fifan's matter. I haven't agreed yet. If I think he can solve this matter by himself, I still won't care about him. Su Yun laughed. There's no other way. Who asked me to be such an unreliable godfather? Sigh, but it's too late for you to regret now. Yi Fala was speechless at Su Yun. This guy is really too much. Actually, I just want to ask you to help me contact my master, Matthew. Bu Fifan scratched his head. After all, this matter is a bit difficult for me now. After my master became a person in an important department of the country, I can't contact him directly. Su Yun was stunned. So that's the case. Are you dumbfounded now? He doesn't need your help at all. He just wants to contact someone through you. Yi Fala seemed to be deliberately mocking Su Yun. If you don't help, he doesn't need your help. Su Yun smiled bitterly. He didn't feel awkward. After all, they were all on the same side. He immediately asked, Why are you looking for Matthew? I want him to help me find someone and locate his coordinates, Bufifan said. I need to find this person. Based on what we can confirm now, he's in Huaxia. It's very likely that he's in Shenzhen. Aren't you a computer expert? Yi Fala looked at Bufifan and said, can't you deal with this kind of thing yourself? If it's an ordinary opponent, I can definitely deal with it. But this time, the opponent is too strong. I can't track him at all. Even if we have his email account and many first clues, we can't track his address. Every time we want to find his coordinates, it will be destroyed by his own firewall. Only then did Su Yun understand. The other party is a hacker? A supercomputer expert? Yes. Bufifan nodded. He thought about it and decided not to hide it from Su Yun. This person is called Tuo Tong. Have you heard of him, Godfather? Tuo Tong. Su Yun was stunned. How could I not have heard of the bastard who created the corrosive worm virus? He's a notorious guy in the underground world. How could you? Wait a minute. Principal Gu arranged for you to investigate Tuo Tong alone? Bufifan felt a little guilty, but he still forced himself to reply, yes. Yes. Where are the crocodiles? Where's your instructor? Su Yun did not believe Bufifan. The ancient magpie world would not make such an irrational decision. Sending a student from a hunter school to chase after Tuo Tong was a joke. Bufifan could tell that Su Yun had exposed him. He had to admit, it's complicated. I'll explain it slowly. Since Su Yun and Yefala were both present, Bufifan did not want to lie. Lying was the biggest disrespect to them. However, he still hid the fact that he snuck out. After all, if Yefala knew about it, Yefala might just lock him up. After Bufifan told Yefala the whole story, Yefala finally realized how dangerous it was. Bufifan was asking him to do something so dangerous. Was he trying to kill himself? Your principal is too unreliable. Is this something a kid like you can do? Yefala was about to lose his temper. Su Yun knew that the ancient magpie world was not that kind of person. If he did not want Bufifan to be involved in this, even if Bufifan could come to Xinjiang, he would not have the chance to meet them. Apparently, the ancient magpie world had agreed to it after careful consideration. A faint smile appeared on Su Yun's face. The ancient magpie realm was certain that he would intervene in this matter. That was why they were so relieved to release Bufifan. With this in mind, Su Yun knew what he had to do. Yefala was still angry. Even your instructor was injured by Tuo Tong. What do you think you can do? It's because my instructor was injured that I have to solve this problem, Bufifan insisted stubbornly. But didn't you say that Zhue Ming is already here? All of Yi Fala's considerations were based on her concern for Bufifan, so she wouldn't think too much about it. Bufifan frowned. Even Zhue Ming won't be able to find Tuo Tong in such a short time. If Tuo Tong escapes after releasing the virus, the consequences will be unimaginable. You're right. Su Yun nodded. Since Tuo Tong dared to come to Huaxia to cause trouble, we can't let him escape. If we don't teach him a lesson, he might come to Huaxia in the future. Yefala stared at Su Yun. What are you going to do about this? If Fifan's technology can't solve the problem, then I can only ask Matthew for help, Su Yun smiled, and I believe that Matthew will be very happy to solve this problem. Bufifan's heart, which had been hanging in the pit of his stomach, was finally at ease. As long as my master is willing to help, he will definitely be able to find Tuo Tong. Bufifan had 100% confidence in Matthew. That bastard won't be able to escape. Yefala raised her hand to stop the two of them from fantasizing. I'm not talking about Matthew's problem. Matthew can break through Tuo Tong's firewall and locate Tuo Tong's coordinates. I believe that these are not a problem. What I want to ask is, after determining Tuo Tong's location, how will you solve the rest of the problem? If Bufifan went to find Tuo Tong himself, it would be no different from suicide. Yefala wanted to know if Su Yun would help Bufifan solve the rest of the problem. After determining that bastard's location, of course I will go and catch him with my own hands. Bufifan gritted his teeth in hatred. He had to avenge Yi Yuan. Yefala glared at Bufifan. I remember you just said that you were seriously injured when you fought with him last time. Do you want to lie in bed for half a year? If that's your decision, I'll never agree to it. Mother Yi, you can't hinder my mission, Bufifan said stubbornly. I'm hindering you? I'm saving your life. Yefala said bluntly. How capable do you think you are? Do you think you can solve such a dangerous guy just because you say so? Do you really think you are a savior? Let me tell you, let Matthew help you determine Tuo Tong's location, then tell Zhue Ming the coordinates. Let Zhue Ming solve the rest of the problem. This mission is still your biggest contribution, do you understand? Instructor Crocodile doesn't want his problem to be solved by others. Bufifan still insisted. Aren't you also someone else? You said he is still paralyzed. If you don't let others solve it, who will? Bufifan suddenly stood up. Of course I am not someone else. I am his student. If I solve this problem, it is equivalent to letting him solve it. If you let instructor Zhue Ming solve this problem, then it will be someone else's problem. It has nothing to do with me. But can't you just find Tuo Tong's person? Yefala really couldn't understand what was going on in this guy's mind. The person who found him is my master, Matthew. What does it have to do with me? Bufifan said, only if I can solve this problem, then it will have something to do with me. Otherwise, my role in this matter will become meaningless. Yefala wanted to hit him after hearing his stubbornness. How is it meaningless? If it wasn't for you, would Matthew come out to find him? You have played a crucial role in this matter. No matter who you ask, you are an indispensable key point. Mother Yi, I beg you, believe me, I can do it. It's useless no matter who you beg. Yefala insisted, if you must do this, then I will have to take extreme measures. What do you mean? Bufifan was stunned. What extreme measures? I will lock you up. You don't have to go back to that hunter school anymore. You are not reliable. How can I be at ease if I let you do such a dangerous thing? Yefala directly turned hostile, showing that she was absolutely untouchable. Bufifan was helpless. You can't do this. Suyun finally spoke. Don't worry. With me here, even 10 Tuo Tongs won't hurt him. Only when Suyun spoke did Yefala's mood calm down. With Suyun's assurance, he was finally able to take the pill of reassurance. Chapter 35-56. Even if you can promise me this time, I won't let him go back to the Hunter Academy. Although Yefala had calmed down, his stance on this matter had changed. I won't feel at ease letting him return to a place where he does dangerous things without considering his ability. Suyun only smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Bufifan had no choice but to admit it. Alright, I admit that I'm still hiding something. Actually, it wasn't the principal who sent me out on this mission. No one would have let me do it. I snuck out on my own. What did you say? Yefala was almost angered to death by Bufifan. You little bastard. I have my own reasons, Bufifan explained. Mother Yi, you've taught me since I was young that I shouldn't give up if I have my own reasons, even if it's difficult. Yefala did not expect the kid to use her own words to refute her. She was speechless. Now, I have my own reasons for doing this, but you want me to give up now? Bufifan said bluntly, does that mean you were wrong when you taught me before? I. Yefala's mind was about to explode. She's right. Don't give up if you're in trouble. It's trouble, not danger. Cho Yun was a woman, after all. She knew how important a child was to a woman. For example, Guagua was to her. If Bufifan was in Guagua's shoes, Cho Yun believed she would be as mad as Yefala. Therefore, she instinctively stood on Yefala's side and spoke up for her. That's right. Yefala immediately said after receiving Cho Yun's reminder, I said don't give up if you're in trouble. You're not in trouble now, your life is in danger. You have to give up if you're in danger. My godfather said he'll follow me. He won't put my life in danger, Bufifan retorted. He only said that he would help you solve this problem, but he didn't say that he would follow you to the Hunter Academy. He followed you this time, so I won't stop you. But he won't follow you to the Hunter Academy, so I have to stop you. That's impossible. Bufifen shook his head without hesitation. I have to go back. Do you want me to use force on you? Yifala glared at him. Why is it that the older you get, the more disobedient you become? Bufifen wouldn't argue like this in the past, but it was different now. The reason was simple. He had grown up. After a child grew up, he would naturally have his own thoughts. What should an elder do at this time? This was probably a problem that every elder had to face, right? In any case, Yifala was determined not to let Fei Fan do such a dangerous thing. He has already admitted that he snuck out on his own. It wasn't a mission arranged by Principal Gu. Su Yun smiled and interrupted the quarrel between the two. When he returns, I believe that Principal Gu will educate him well. Yifala was startled. She thought Su Yun would be on her side. In fact, Su Yun had considered more than anyone else. Su Yun knew what Bufifen was going through. If Su Yun returned to Bufifen's age and Zhang Taisui told him to leave the Dragon Brigade because it was dangerous to stay in the Dragon Brigade, he would refuse without hesitation. Every boy at this age had a dream of their own. No one was willing to be a nobody for the rest of their lives. Everyone wanted to become a master that everyone respected. Any boy at Bufifen's age would want to become a man who could summon the wind and rain and stand at the top of the world. It was good to have a dream, because only a person with a dream could pursue it. If he didn't even have the most basic dream, how could he pursue it? Therefore, it was very cruel to cut off a boy's dream at this age. Although Yifala had her reasons for doing this, Bufifen also had his own reasons for not agreeing to it. This was the price of growing up. The more a child grew up, the more disobedient they would be. Everyone was like this. One day, when a child truly grew up into a man of indomitable spirit, perhaps the words of the elders would no longer be reasonable in his heart. Every generation had their own way of understanding things. Every generation was different from every other generation. The generation gap was a real thing, and it was something that no one could ignore. Before Bufifen went to the Hunter Academy, there was also a generation gap between him and Yifala. However, this generation gap would not lead to a conflict like today. Now, the generation gap had changed. It was different, but it still existed. It was just like in the Huaxia era. What did people who were born in the 50s and 60s yearn for in their hearts? Most people yearned for an ordinary job. They didn't need a lot of money. As long as it was a stable job, they would be able to raise their children, and they would be able to live until they were old. However, people who were born in the 80s and 90s had a different mindset. Most people wanted to become a civil servant. At least, they would be able to become a section chief. They would be able to live an easy life. Occasionally, people would give them small gifts. When they were outside, they would have a small identity and status. When they retired, they would receive a good pension and create a good living environment for their children. This was their dream. However, people who were born in the 21st century had a different mindset. They yearned for a higher, more luxurious life and status. They yearned to be at the top of the world. Their goal was to reach the level of Brother Jianlin and Brother Ma Yun. Times were changing, and people's vision was different. People couldn't always look at the past. I know what you are worried about, but don't worry. He has really grown up. Su Yun smiled and patted Yifala's shoulder to comfort her. Yifala raised her head and looked at Bufifen in front of her. In her eyes, Bufifen would always be a child. However, when she thought about it carefully, Su Yun was right. The child had grown up. Mother Yi, I was wrong. Bufifen lowered his head and said apologetically, I know you did it for my own good. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that just now. It's all my fault. No. Yifala shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. You only want to fight for your own future. You're not wrong, It's just that I'm unwilling to let go. Go, child, pursue what you want to pursue. Always remember, no matter when you can't hold on, this is your home. Bu Fifan smiled slightly and reached out to gently wipe away the tears that streaked across Yi Fala's cheeks. Don't worry, Mother Yi. I will never give up easily. I will persevere until the end of the path that I have chosen. Godfather said that if I can't even persevere with my own choice, then I am not worthy of being a man. When did I say that to you? Su Yun really couldn't remember. Didn't you say it? Then maybe it was our principal who said it. Bu Fifan said. Su Yun touched his chin. However, the style of this sentence is very similar to my style. For the time being, I will admit that it was me who said it. Okay, hurry up and eat. After eating, we still have to deal with business. Yi Fala smiled. Didn't you say that there is not much time left? Hurry up and eat. Let's hurry back and contact Matthew. Su Yun waved his hand and said unhurriedly, There are still 5 or 6 days left. What's the hurry? Leave this matter to Matthew. He will be able to find that bastard's hiding place in minutes. Don't worry, eat slowly. Eating too fast is not good for the body, especially hot food like hot pot. It is not good for the esophagus. Bu Fifan saw that Su Yun was by his side and felt more confident. His originally anxious heart also relaxed. Godfather, why aren't you drinking? Do you want me to drink with you? We originally planned to go back today, so we didn't drink. Since we can't leave, then let's have some. Su Yun laughed. Good boy, you have grown up. You know how to drink with me? Come, let's not go back until we are drunk today. What do you mean by not going back until we are drunk? I just want a bottle of wine for you. It is so expensive that it is a waste to drink it. Why don't you use this money to support the children left behind in the poor mountainous areas? Yi Fala pressed the button to call the waiter. Su Yun quickly explained, I am not talking about drinking wine that costs a few thousand yuan. Beer, domestic Qingdao beer. It is not much to drink 8 or 10 bottles. Chapter 35-57. 4 people and a dog ate until 9 o'clock in the evening before the delightful dinner finally ended. When Bu Fifan left the hot pot restaurant, he was surprised to find Blackhead. Ever since he left, Blackhead hadn't made a sound. Bu Fifan was completely stunned. He thought that this dog was too powerful and well trained. Blackhead didn't seem to have a bad impression of Bu Fifan, so it didn't have any hostility toward him. It accepted his praise happily. After they returned home, Bu Fifan quickly turned on the computer and downloaded several software. He was going to establish contact with Matthew later. Su Yun also made a phone call and began to contact Matthew. He couldn't directly contact Matthew now. Matthew's identity was quite important now. He was definitely a national treasure. Without permission, outsiders were not allowed to contact him. Su Yun still had to trouble Wan Guangxiao. Wan Guangxiao was speechless with Su Yun. He asked Su Yun what he was doing outside all day. Su Yun didn't explain much. He just told Wan Guangxiao that he needed Matthew's help to locate Tuo Tong's coordinates. Tuo Tong was now in Huaxia and wanted to cause trouble. Wan Guangxiao immediately stopped complaining about Su Yun. He immediately helped Su Yun contact Matthew. When Matthew heard that Su Yun and Bu Fifan needed his help, he naturally agreed without hesitation. Under Wan Guangxiao's arrangement, Su Yun and Matthew talked. Su Yun told Matthew that Bu Fifan had already prepared a computer. They could contact each other directly through the network and explain the situation in detail. Matthew knew that Bu Fifan wanted to establish a remote connection with him. After asking for the remote connection password, they established a network connection 10 minutes later. Su Yun said proudly, "See, it's a piece of cake. I just need to make a phone call." If you can't even handle a phone call, then this matter is really troublesome. Yefala said to Su Yun, "Leave the rest to him. We will be on standby. If you need our help at any time, we will help." Su Yun nodded. After Bu Fifan and Matthew established contact, they didn't chat much. The two of them were no longer who they used to be. After Matthew received the clue from Bu Fifan, he immediately started to track down the address. Matthew knew a little about Tuotong, but he didn't have the chance to track him down before. Even if he had the chance, Matthew wouldn't provoke someone like Tuotong. After all, Tuotong wasn't just a simple hacker, he was also a cruel and perverted murderer. If Matthew provoked Tuotong in the past, who knew if Tuotong would find him and take revenge on him through anti-tracking methods? Of course, this time, Matthew still had to use a rather complicated and difficult method to track down Tuotong. He couldn't let Tuotong detect his existence. Tuotong was a sensitive guy. Not only would he design a lot of simulated locations for himself on the internet, but he would also set up traps. Anyone who wanted to track him down would be easily detected by him. Once a simulated location was destroyed, he would realize that someone was looking for him. At that time, he would only need to buy a plane ticket to another city and set up a new network to make all the hard work of the other party go to waste. This was the most difficult thing about Tuotong, and it was also the most troublesome thing for Bu Fifan. If it weren't for this, he might have tried to track him down himself using the internet. Matthew was much better than Bu Fifan in terms of network technology. This was also one of the main reasons why Bu Fifan worshipped him as his teacher. Matthew was like an idol to Bu Fifan in terms of network technology. In this tracking mission, Matthew had to put on a good disguise and protect himself first, so that he could ensure that his whereabouts would not be detected by Torton. Even if Matthew fell into Torton's trap, he could escape unscathed without leaving any trace. This was a very necessary thing. Of course, to do this, even Matthew needed to spend a lot of time and energy. People who didn't understand might think it was simple, thinking that it could be solved by typing on the keyboard. In fact, this was definitely a very complicated project. Matthew's speed was not a problem. In order to track down Tuotong, he destroyed 15 firewalls set up by Tuotong within an hour. Matthew had never seen a computer expert who could set up so many firewalls on his computer. It was incredible. Every time Matthew quietly broke into a firewall, there was always another one waiting for him. After 15 consecutive times, Matthew felt that his brain was a little short of oxygen. Because Bu Fifan and Matthew's computer had established a remote connection, Bu Fifan could see everything that Matthew did. This was also what Matthew hoped that Bu Fifan could learn. At least after this, Bu Fifan could try to solve the problem himself if he encountered such a situation in the future. Of course, this complicated process made Bu Fifan feel that it was very difficult to learn many times. He was a person who thought that he was more talented in the field of computer networks. However, under Matthew's repeated hacking process, Bu Fifan finally grasped the process and essentials. If it weren't for the fact that Tuotong's computer had so many firewalls, which forced Matthew to repeat the process over and over again, Bu Fifan might not have been able to learn it. Bu Fifan seemed to have to thank Tuotong for this. Of course, every firewall set up by Tuotong was different, and every firewall had subtle changes. This also made Matthew's hacking process challenging and difficult, because if he was careless, he might trigger the alarm that Tuotong set up. Although this was not physical labor, after an hour of work, Matthew was still so nervous that he broke out in a cold sweat. It was easy to get tired when the brain was in a tense state for a long time. Finally, Matthew couldn't hold on any longer. He said to Bu Fifan, "I'll go get some coffee first. This bastard really wants to kill me. Isn't this too sick? Master, it's really hard on you. Fortunately, you're here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to reach your current level even if you gave me 10 days. Bu Fifan smiled bitterly. Hearing Bu Fifan's voice, Su Yun thought that it was done, so he immediately got up and walked over. He was too confident in Matthew, so he thought that it should be fine after an hour. "How is it?" Su Yun asked as he stepped forward. Bu Fifan took off his headphones and smiled bitterly. "My master went to make coffee. It's too difficult. I don't think he can solve it in a short time." "No way." Su Yun was surprised. He is Matthew. How can Tuotong be so capable? Even Matthew is so difficult to solve? We don't know how many firewalls this guy has built for himself. Bu Fifan smiled bitterly. An ordinary expert can design a powerful firewall for himself, and it's enough to fend off most hackers. A powerful expert can build 3 to 5 firewalls for himself, but Tuo Tong. Forget it, let's not talk about it. This guy is really abnormal. How many firewalls have you hacked now? Su Yun asked. Bu Fifan looked depressed. 15. F***CK. Su Yun couldn't help but curse. He's really sick. Who would build so many firewalls for no reason? This guy is really a coward. He's not just a coward, he's a pervert. Bu Fifan sighed. My master solved the first firewall in 1 minute, and now it's getting harder and harder. We need to be more careful. It took nearly 10 minutes to break the 15th firewall. Doesn't that mean we're wasting more and more time? Su Yun frowned. Can you determine how many firewalls are left? Bu Fifan shook his head. No, if we can't break into the next firewall, we'll never know if there's another one. There's no way to predict the time. Su Yun patted Bu Fifan. Then you can treat it as learning. You're really lucky to have Matthew. Without him, you really can't do anything. Instructor Zhue Ming is already a super network expert, but it took him 20 days to find Tuotong through the internet, and he was discovered by Tuotong in the end. Bu Fifan said, if he wasn't discovered, Instructor Crocodile wouldn't have been ambushed by Tuotong. What happened later wouldn't have happened. Then, who do you think is better, Matthew or Zhue Ming? Su Yun asked. Bu Fifan said without hesitation, of course my master is better. Although Instructor Zhue Ming is good, he's not at the same level as my master. How big is the gap? Su Yun wanted to know this because he wanted to calculate how much confidence Matthew gave him. The gap between a master's degree and a primary school student. Bu Fifan smiled slightly. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.